Good morning, indeed. I had to. Okay.
Oh, did you have trouble putting your sock on or whatever the people call it? What is this called?
Oh,
what's it called?
It's a mic sock, a wind sock, a spit screen. I've heard it called a lot of different things.
Odie calls it a spoffle, and I just don't. It doesn't sound right.
Don't like that. Yeah. Don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I gotta keep it a buck. Feel good this morning. Woke up on time. All right. Had a good morning. Nice and football-y outside. Weather's great. Got up, got ready for work. On the drive in, decided to do something that I don't ordinarily do. Ordinarily, I will stop at a gas station or whatever on the way in, and I will get my beverages for the day. I bring one in that I utilize for the show, one or two for the show, and then I'll put one or two in the storage device of question.
The what?
The box in there that we hold our drinks in during the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the box. Well, you made it sound like it was in your car.
No.
I didn't know if that vehicle came with a refrigerator standard.
We're not supposed to say we have a mini fridge in the office, so I wasn't going to do that.
I don't think it matters anymore.
I don't think it does either. I've been here 5 years. Nobody said a damn thing.
Well, it was said to me quite a bit in the beginning.
Well, you took all the heat. I get the benefits.
I did, and now everyone's got one.
So I grabbed a beverage like I normally do, but what I did today that was different than normal is I opened it in the car on the drive in. I don't normally do that. And there's a reason why. And that reason why is because people are already questionable enough drivers when you're unfortunate enough to come across one of them at 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning.
Cut them some slack. Because a lot of people still don't have power.
I know, and I'm not. Let's be clear. I'm not gonna go off on the individual that caused the scenario this morning, because I get it. It's a very stressful time around upstate South Carolina right now. So I am genuinely, I'm cutting people slack. Unless you're doing something that's actively hurting somebody. If you're jumping curbs to get out in front of the line at the gas station, which I think has mostly died off at this point. If you're doing stuff like that, I'm going to call you out. But I'm at a spot now where I'm like, you know what? Some people are just having stressful days. So anyway, point is, driving on the road today, I got cut off, and not like a little cut off. I got cut off like, had I been the guy who, when you cut me off, I'm going to accelerate and stay on your bumper until I get to where I'm going or you get to where you're going and get out of the way. Had I been that guy, had I been road ragey at all this morning, I would have like Dukes of Hazzard fishtail dumped this dude into the side of the interstate. All right. Guy got off the exit. Jumped over 2 lanes to get to the middle lane, trying to go all the way to the other side because he had, get on one exit, get off on the next. He jumped in front of me, and it was unexpected, no blinker, no nothing. And when he did that, I happened to be taking a sip of the beverage that I opened, which again I don't normally do. And when he did, I pumped the brakes. Well, when I pumped the brakes, it happened to be right at the time that I was trying to take a sip from the beverage that he cut in front of me. And I poured about a third of an energy drink right down the front of the T-shirt that I wore to work. And that energy drink was cold and not the same color as the T-shirt I was wearing. So when I got here, I thought to myself, hey, you know what? We're good. Because when we got back from the wedding, I've got some clothes left over in my car because what happened was the last night of the wedding vacation, the last night.
Also known as a honeymoon.
Yeah, it wasn't, though. Thanks to the hurricane. It was just the last night of the wedding stay. The honeymoon was going to be in Orlando and Savannah. We didn't get to do either. So on the last night, the idiot that I am, I packed everything the night before to have it ready to just throw in the car the next morning. except for the clothes I was going to wear the next day and the PJs I went to bed in that night, which, of course, included this wonderful Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Academy basketball jersey. All right. So when I got here, I was like, I got clothes in the back of the car. I'm good. I'll just change shirts. I wore flippy floppies today. So it doesn't matter that I don't have shoes that I have to match to the shirt. All right. I've got 3 hats in the car, a white one, a gray one, a black one. I don't know what's back there, but whatever. I can pull an outfit together so I don't have to wear a soaking wet, monster smelled shirt for the whole day. All I have was a Bel-Air Academy basketball jersey. And so for the first time in the history of the Rob Brown Show on the stream, I'm going Tank Top Thursday today. I'm going sleeveless today. I'm going gun show today. Yeah, going gun show today. And I got to tell you, I'm wildly uncomfortable right now.
Well, as you well
I'm
know.
very comfortable in terms of the shirt breathes wonderfully. But in terms of my... I haven't been in the gym in a while, is all I'm saying.
Well, it stood out to me right away when I saw it.
The first thing Zoe said when he walked in the Fortress of Nerditude, he looked at me and he went,
No, I did not.
He looked at me and he went,
I do not use that word.
He looked at me and he went,
That I did. Yeah, for sure. I said gun show, and Rob looked confused for a second because he forgot, and then he realized, oh yeah. And then he went Hulk Hogan on me for a while.
Brother.
He was blocking the door. I couldn't get out.
Brother.
So I had to wait for the whole show. And then finally it was over.
So that you're very clear, or we're very clear, I don't feel good about it. All right. Like nobody, for the record, I am aware nobody wants to see this.
No, not today.
All right. We need some liquid tan here. Stat. If we get that, then you'll be good.
I put on the tank top today. And now, like, it's not like I feel like I gotta sit here flexing at the camera all day. It's just that
what that was?
I know if there's one way to describe my physique right now, it's so it just kind of is what it is now. I just have to own it. I'm very bummed.
We could go off the stream. I mean, we can go old school radio.
No, this is on me. This is a learning experience from Rob Brown. All right. I'm sure that most of, if not all of you, have had some situation where you headed into work and maybe you realize you got dressed in the dark and you had 2 different shoes on, or you realize that you were wearing a black set of pants, but you put on a brown belt. Embarrassing.
Well, right now I'm wearing blue shorts and a black shirt.
You are not matched at all.
It's just really bothering me.
But nobody can see your shoes, so at least you can hide it. I am just
I got
here.
black shoes, so I mean, I'm the black on black with the blue in the middle. But still,
Worse.
I know, but I'm also over 50, so I can get away with that because people will think, oh, that transition.
Oh, great. Grandpa's just having one of those days.
Yeah, so but it's bothering me. I mean, it is, and I'll get over it, but still, I'm curious. Do we have a guest today?
We do have a guest today.
I
am very sad to report that.
Okay, all right.
Peyton Ass Mario will be here coming up at 9:00.
So no Rashad today.
We'll have Rashad at 8:40.
Okay,
I will take every bit of that the young man with
certified hater mode
engaged is going to bring at me. I have no doubt, because I've given Mario hell for years about his dressing like a child at work, and now here I am in a basketball jersey. Now, I will say the saving grace here is that at least we're on a sports talk show, right?
Dressing like a child, what's that mean? I mean, when have you dressed like an adult?
Dude, showing up to work with a collar and sleeves, showing up to work in a basketball jersey is dressing like a child. It's just that we happen to be...
What's the last time you wore a collar?
I wear collars all the time. I wear polos all the time. All the time. I wear them here. It's almost, you know what I said when I walked out the door this morning? And I almost went and changed? It's about near flannel season. It's about near my favorite time of the year when I get to wear flannel every day.
By the way, we have no dress code per se, and wear what you want to wear.
Right, because
don't let people like Rob judge you.
No. Do not listen to Lonzo. If you work in a bank or an insurance company, do not show up in a basketball jersey or you won't work there anymore. Because while I am absolutely team, I'm growing older but not up, as Jimmy Buffett once famously said, at the same time, you don't have to like it, but there are societal standards. When you work in a place that is an adult place, you wear sleeves and a collar.
Okay, when you're done, I said we don't have a dress code,
right.
which implied if you don't have a dress code, wear what you want.
I thought you were talking to the people, the populace.
No, if you have a dress code, then wear what you're required to wear. If you have to wear a uniform, wear a uniform. I mean, but what I'm saying is, don't judge me because I wear a jersey. Well, do judge me, but I could care less what you think about it.
I'm just saying.
And anytime you do now, we will screen cap what you're wearing and bring it up, and then you can just go away. As far as that goes.
I dropped an energy drink. Half of a barrel, by the way, not like a half
here's
of
what
the barrel straight down the front of the shirt.
I wish you didn't have a shirt back there. I wish you had to go straight up skins for the whole show.
So ordinarily, there is always tucked away under the seat, the passenger or the back seat behind the driver. Ordinarily there is, and this is just a Rob Brown way of life.
You're married now. There shouldn't be anything back there.
There is.
Okay.
Ordinarily, there is almost always and exclusively a pair of golf pants and a polo shirt back there.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a Bill Belichick walk of shame.
Correct.
Clothing.
No, I don't have a bug out bag back there. All right.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah. You used to have a bug out bag you would keep in the car. And that was somebody takes you home from the bar and you got to be somewhere the next day, right? Nope. I'm 40. I'm almost 40. I have in the back of my car, ordinarily, though I don't now, because I took it out for the vacation and the honeymoon. Ordinarily, in the back seat of the car, underneath the rear view seat behind the driver, there's ordinarily a golf polo, golf pants, and my golf shoes, which stay in the box in the car. And that's because you never know. You never know. Maybe I got a meeting and I get a text that says, hey, Rob, client had to cancel, no meeting today. Well, I'm already out of the office. Let's go get 9 holes in this afternoon, right? You never know when you're going to need to throw on a collared shirt and a pair of pants to go play 18, or a situation exactly like this one. So I ordinarily have a pair like a nice polo that I can throw on if I need it. Didn't today, and so all of you have to suffer through, those of you that visit the stream, Rob Brown with the twigs out.
This was on me. My bad.
So that being said,
I could have let you borrow a jacket, if you want to hide.
No, I'm just owning it at this point.
The jacket smells like me though, so I mean.
Now I'd rather go shirtless. All right. The good news is here, and I can say this. Here's the good news. The good news is that happened at gas station number 1. But because I spilled one of the 2 energy drinks that I need because I'm an addict with a problem, I stopped at gas station.
We all know that, right?
Yeah, I know. It's not a secret. I stopped at gas station number 2. And I stopped at number 2 to get a replacement for the show. And
did you change your walk? Did you say sup when you walked in?
No.
Okay.
I got to gas station number 2. I got out of the car. I changed out of the shirt. I went digging around the back of the car. All I had was the jersey. However, it's a dope jersey. And I know it's a dope jersey because I put on the jersey, went into the gas station. I think is like shock therapy. I'm like, let me just get my first interaction with somebody out of the day with me. And less overweight than I used to be, all right? But I'm not basketball jersey thin yet, all right? I'm going to be doing push-ups in the hallway every break. I threw
Probably
it on.
Should be sit-ups, but,
Screw you, Lonzo. Screw you, Lonzo. I decided, let me go get the shock therapy out of the way. I walked into the gas station, and as I did, this young kid, and I say young, probably early 20s or so, he walks past me, he turns around, he walks back to me, and he goes, dope jersey, bro. And I was like, yeah, we're back, baby. Now we're good. And I just want to say, I'm sure this young man's not listening right now. I hope he is. I don't know what he was doing at a gas station at roughly 5 o'clock in the morning because I had to stop and change it all. I was about 10 minutes behind where I wanted to be. I don't know what he was doing in the gas station at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I need that young man to know. If he happens to be listening, just in case I'm putting it out there, thank you, big dog. Thank you. Because had you not said that, I would have stopped at 3 to 5 more gas stations looking for one that was selling T-shirts and plastic bags to bring here. You'd have seen me in some oversized 4XL gas station plain black T-shirt. But that man looked me in the face and said, "Dope jersey, bro." And I went, you know what? Bleep it. I'm rolling with it. At least it is a dope jersey. The Bel Air Academy 93 special. This is fantastic. With the Smith 14 on the back. It's untouchable, man. It's untouchable.
You got some dealer vibes going though. I mean, this is the guy who shows up in the neighborhood dressed like that going, "Hey man, I got something for you."
I'm just real bummed out because I'm not going to lie. Right before the show, I was like, you know what? I think since I'm already wearing a jersey, I think I'm just going to go full Delta Bravo and put the blenders on. Do the whole show in the blenders. Went down to the car. I took them out. I know exactly where they are. They're hanging on a hook right by the inside door of the Bro Cave. I took them out because I wore my contacts the other day.
You have hooks for all your glasses? I guess that makes sense. I guess it does.
I got 4 because I got 4 pairs of glasses.
Since you accentuate your outfit every day.
I got the blenders. I got the Wayfarers, and then I got 2 pair of Italians that I bought for the wedding. One's black and one's brown with gold trim. All right. I got 4 hooks for 4 pairs of sunglasses, and I forgot to grab the because I didn't wear my contacts. I only wear the sunglasses when I wear contacts. I put on the glasses today. So I didn't put in the contacts, therefore I didn't bring the blenders.
Yeah, but you got the clear glasses on. That works.
I do. But these aren't, I hope, these aren't D-bag glasses.
You got a Kurt.
All right, you're done. I don't even care what you're about to say because it's going to be mean.
With the colors and the glasses, you got a Rambus vibe going on.
I know I probably shouldn't say it's going to be a good old-fashioned ass whooping.
Bring it. You look like Rambus. It's the
Listen,
colors.
there's worse you could tell me I look like. All right, we got a day lined up for you today. We got to get a ton into the NFL. We've got some more developments in the DaVante Adams situation and Christian McCaffrey. Maybe the Panthers traded McCaffrey wasn't as bad as we thought it was. We'll talk about that coming up later on in the radio program. 8 o'clock hour is going to be slammed up. At 8 a.m., we've got Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News to talk Gamecock football. At 8:20, Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta will be joining us as the Braves season has come to its conclusion. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. At 8:40, the legendary Rashad Beard will join the show to talk Carolina Panther football. Then at 9 o'clock, straight up, Hayden Ass Mario will join us to talk about the NFL as well. 4 guests back to back. So if you want in, the earlier the better.
I don't know if you knew this. It's also Thursday.
9:20. Fight Club. Felt real good to get that one out. 9:20 Fight Club. So we got in a row, Lulu Kesson, South Carolina, Abe Gordon, Atlanta Braves, Rashad Beard, Carolina Panthers, Hayden Ass Mario, NFL talk, Great One Lonzo, MMA and professional wrestling. Are we picking anything today? Because I'm not going to lie. I'm 2.5 weeks behind.
Yeah, bad blood happens this weekend.
Son of a biscuit. If you're ever going to get me,
I could have threw some MMA in there too, but I didn't. No. Just going, we only have so much time.
Let's pick them. We're going for the wall. This is for the wall?
Yeah, probably.
All right. If you're ever going to get me,
actually, it's not for the wall. I can't do it because it happens during the show Saturday.
So what? So what? Just get the results later. All right, that's fine by me. I haven't watched wrestling in 2.5 weeks, so that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, stick around. Show's going to roll on after this. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Matt World.
All right, guys, read out of the break. Stay right there. Mike, Zach, appreciate you guys. We'll be right back. said they would be. You don't have to like it, unfortunately. There was a combination of things that took place. This was the perfect storm for the Atlanta Braves this year. Number one, injuries wrecked this season. We're going to talk about this with Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta coming up this morning at 8:20 a.m. Injuries wrecked this team this year. You lost Spencer Strider. It threw your entire pitching staff into chaos. You lost Ronald Acuna Jr. for the season. You had long stretches without Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies. The list goes on and on and on. In fact, I've made the joke that's not a joke a number of times that the only two guys that you did not lose for long stretches of time were Matt Olson, who had his worst year from the dish in the last 4 or 5, and Marcell Ozuna, who was the definition of hit or miss, right? This guy would go on home run stretches where he'd have one every third at bat for 5 or 6 or 7 games, and then he'd do what he did in the playoffs this year and just not show up at all. I think he had, one hit between the 2 games in the wild card round? The Atlanta Braves had 6 hits last night. That's number 2. The offense was, and you can blame it on the injuries. You can blame it on the rain that was falling. You can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. The bats just went cold. There were hot streaks for sure. The problem is last year, when the Braves went on a streak, it was a cold streak, and then they'd come back to normal. This year, when they went on a streak, it was a hot streak, and then they'd go back to normal. And normal was a 4, 5, 6 hit game more often than not. And that's what they brought into the wild card round. You add on to that, the Braves kicked themselves in the junk. The Braves and the Mets were supposed to finish that doubleheader that they had to play on Monday. They were supposed to play those 2 games last week. But because of, they say, approaching Hurricane Helene, I say that series could have been finished. They could have woken up the next day after game 1, a game the Braves won. They could have woken up and played a doubleheader that started in the morning. They could have had that stadium cleared by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they could have sent everybody on their merry way. That's not what the Braves wanted to do. And the Braves didn't want to do that, in my, I'll say, opinion, because again, I don't know that you're ever going to get to be able to prove it. But in my opinion, they did that because they did not want to lose the gate from that game. Not only would you have had fewer people coming out for a 10 a.m. game on a weekday than you would have had having 2 back-to-back night games on weekdays, but if you made it a doubleheader, you would have had to made it a quick doubleheader, not a daytime, nighttime doubleheader. It had to been daytime doubleheader. It had to been a single gate doubleheader, which means that you would have gotten a weekday crowd and only one of them for 2 games instead of what they hoped they were going to be able to do and stick a couple of late games on down the stretch that they could have grabbed the gate from. I never understood that. I didn't get it. Here we are. So the Braves had to play a pair of games on Monday. They had to burn up their pitching on Monday. They also lost Chris Sale. I don't know how much different the game would have been had Sale been available, right? Because Sale would have likely pitched game 2 of that doubleheader, means he would have been unavailable for games 1 and 2 of the wild card series. You would have probably still been in the exact same spot. You would have gone Smith-Shawver in game 1. That went poorly. It didn't go poorly. He was fine. Wasn't great. He was fine. Wasn't going deep into the game. And you would have still gone Max Fried in game 2. Max Fried got tagged up last night. There's no other way around it. If you ask what went wrong in an individual game last night, the answer is Max Fried gave up 8 hits and 5 runs in 2 innings. That's very un-Max Fried-like. But that's what happened. So because of all of that, the injuries, the Braves screwed the Braves with the doubleheader being moved, with Max Fried getting rocked in game 2, and because of that doubleheader, having to go Smith-Shawver instead of having somebody like Lopez available in game 1, the Braves got kind of screwed. Now, the question mark that I have is, how do we feel about Snit? This is a cat that I was calling for a lot this season. And I'm kind of confused about how I'm conflicted about how I should feel about Snit right now. Because on one hand, there's all the flowers that Brian Snitker has been getting this year. Brian Snitker managed through a year where the injuries were relentless. The Braves were a mash unit this year. He managed through that. He got this team to the playoffs. He managed through the, I'm going to say, absolutely poor front office decision-making that ended up with that doubleheader on Monday that made the wild card round that much more difficult to survive through. Yet he managed through that. Brian Snitker found a way to get this team into the playoffs, despite losing Ronnie and Strider, despite having months. I honestly, if I had to take a stab at the percentage of games where the Braves had their full opening day lineup, with the exception of Ronnie Acuna Jr., I would say it was probably 20% of the games this season did the Braves have everybody available. And yet, Snitker got this team into the postseason. So does he get flowers for that? And oh, by the way, he did it in a year where the Philadelphia Phillies, who ended up winning the division, were the number 2 team in the National League, and it took the Dodgers a sprint down the stretch to get by them and claim the 1 seed in the NL. If this was any other Philadelphia year, if this was any other year where the Phillies did what the Phillies have been doing the last couple of years, and they won themselves 85, 86, 87 games, there's a chance the Braves still could have won the division with 89 wins in the back. I mean, it realistically, if the Braves had this year and the Phillies had a year like they normally do, the Braves would have been in contention for the division. It's just that the Phillies dramatically outkicked their coverage this year. And if they outkicked their coverage this year, and the Braves had these injuries and all these other issues, do we let Snit off the hook a little bit? I'm very conflicted about how to feel. And a part of the reason is what I said so many times during the regular season. I felt as if Snit either game by game didn't manage enough or overmanaged. And it just depends on kind of where you were, right? He either overmanaged or he didn't manage enough. And I pointed out throughout the year, one of the running gags I had this year that I used on this show, I used it on BetMGM Tonight. I used it on every show I've guest hosted, every show I've been interviewed on. I can't tell you how many times they turned the camera over towards the dugout, and it looked to me like Snit was taking a damn nap, like in high-pressure situations. And then there were times where the pitching would get squirrely, and all of a sudden he's keeping guys in, yanking guys out, moving guys around, and I'm like, what are we doing here? On the flip side, Snit got this team, a team that was like owned half of a hospital wing throughout the year. He got him in. So I'm a little conflicted on how to feel overall about Brian Snitker this year. But we're gonna talk more about Atlanta. We're gonna issue the post-mortem throughout the show. Abe Gordon joins us at 8:20 this morning to talk about it with us. Lulu Kesson at 8 o'clock to talk Gamecocks. Rashad Beard at 8:40 to talk Panthers. 9 o'clock, Hayden Ask Mario to talk NFL. 9:20 Fight Club. You want in? Do it now. 844-326-3663. Text us 71307. Start your text with FAM. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Yes, as I said on BetMGM tonight on Tuesday, it was going to and needed to be a mercy killing, and I'm glad they put us out of our misery. Money Mike hit a dinger in the 8th for 2 runs to bring us within 1, and I was already asleep with the radio off.
I know what it is. That's just not a color you wear. That's just, I mean, that's
Yellow?
yeah. It's just not. More gold, isn't it? I don't know.
You know what they call this? Athletic gold.
Okay.
That is the official name of this color.
Yeah, that's
When I realized I was going to have to sign up for my own health insurance plan, I was ready to quit. But then I found Health Markets. Health Markets lays out a list of plans available to you. It's straightforward and so easy. And if you need help, they have licensed insurance agents you can speak with. Just dial pound 250 and say Health Markets. That's it. Pound 250 and say Health Markets.
Discover the advantages of real personalized service today with Health Markets. Health Markets Insurance Agency Inc. is licensed as an insurance agency nationwide, except in Massachusetts. Pay after the trail.
Oh, there's crews in my neighborhood clearing the trees away from the power lines.
for you.
So yesterday the fiance got home and she said there's one crew, there's crew in the neighborhood clearing trees. And so we brought him a case of water and some granola bars. And I got to talking to the guy. And he goes, before you ask, no, I don't know. And no, I don't know how long. And I was like, I wasn't even going to ask. I was like, just, we're glad to see you out here. And the guy goes, it's going to take, for your neighborhood specifically, it's going to take 2 days just to get the trees out of the way. So day 1 was yesterday, day 2 today. I'm really hoping by Saturday morning.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody out, and no lights have advanced this time.
Yeah. Yes, Wesley, I did. It's going to take me some time, bud. All right? You got to work with me here. So I'm going to ask this question of Gamecock fans this morning. Does this Ole Miss game, even if it's only for this year, is this game rivalry-ish to you? Does this game have rivalry vibes if it's just this year? You've got, obviously, the drama that happened with Antoine Juice Wells last year. There are those of you that believe that Juice Wells could have returned for the Gamecocks down the stretch, but elected not to and blamed it on an injury. There are those of you that believe that Juice Wells took advantage of you because while he was not playing last year, he was still coming around, collecting that NIL check, utilizing the facilities, etc. And there are many of you that believe that Antoine Juice Wells had already made the decision that he was out, but he was going to enjoy all of the creature comforts that the University of South Carolina was willing to provide to and for him, as well as that NIL check, until he signed the dotted line with the new team. And then there was this story that caught a lot of traction. I know one of my afternoon colleagues, the D-Train Diesel, was heated for a minute because Juice Wells put up a social media video, if I recall the story correctly. Juice Wells put up a social media video of him getting a haircut in the facilities. Most of the facilities now have like an on-site barber shop just for the players. Put up a video of him getting a haircut in the facilities after he had already declared his intention to transfer. And there were people going, dude, this is screwed up, right? Like the minute you say I'm out, that key card should not work anymore. You should get bounced immediately. And here's Juice up in Club Gamecock, enjoying all of the facilities and benefits that come along with being a South Carolina player, despite the fact that he had stated his intention to not do that anymore. And then he ends up at Ole Miss, where Lane Kiffin has declared himself the Portal King, where Lane Kiffin has declared that he is going to take the 2023 Florida State approach of building a roster through the portal, and where NIL deals seem to be handed out with some level of regularity. The reason I ask is I was scrolling the social media last night and I came across a video from SEC Unfiltered's Chris Phillips. Of course, Chris joins Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson once a week in the afternoons. And Chris Phillips about South Carolina Ole Miss said this.
Outside of Clemson, because that's a gimme, this game against Ole Miss was the game that South Carolina fans want more than any. So if the LSU atmosphere was that, this atmosphere against Ole Miss, it is going to be, and I say what I'm about to say not as an insult, but just being transparent. I think it's going to be one of the nastiest atmospheres you see this season. Like, there is a lot of hatred for Juice Wells. I mean, there is a lot. This is not your friendly, like, oh, you know, we don't like you, but like, this is next level disdain and vitriol for this man because of the way things went down. Did he sit out? Did he not? Did he take the money and run? It was a really, really nasty breakup. So this environment already would have been next level. It is going to be, again, it's one of the most underrated bad blood games of the season because of the Juice Wells storyline.
We good with that take? We good with that take? I said yesterday on the show. I said yesterday on this show, and I said Tuesday evening on BetMGM Tonight because we got into a conversation. Brad Evans asked me, which college football team with odds of 300-1 or longer do you think is the best possibility to get into the college football playoffs? And my answer was LSU. And my justification for selecting LSU was they got 2 games left on the schedule. Alabama, Texas A&M. I think they're better than Texas A&M. And I think nobody's better than Alabama with the exception of Ohio State, Georgia, and man, I don't even think I can put Oregon in that group anymore, right? So my justification was LSU's got one more loss. They're going to be a 10-2 football club, and their 2 losses are both going to be the top 10 teams at the end of the year, USC and Alabama. And he said, wait a minute, Rob, they went toe-to-toe with South Carolina like 2 weekends ago. And I said, oh, I know. But I think you and the rest of America are going to be learning something in the next couple of weeks. I think South Carolina is underappreciated as one of the most difficult places to play college football in all of America. I do not think. I've been to 3 games so far in Columbia. I wish it was more, but I've been to 3 games so far in Columbia. I am willing to go on the record nationally and say, this is not blowing smoke. I have no reason to. I think Columbia, South Carolina is quietly one of the best home field advantages in football when the fans turn out. I think when the team is good, it's one of the best, most underappreciated home field advantages in all of college football. And I also think that the one thing that probably keeps South Carolina from being on those annual lists that come out every year, top 10 toughest places to play in college football. I think the one thing that keeps Columbia from being on that list more often than they are is the fact that it does, and again, I don't mean to, this is where I can say I'm not blowing smoke. It feels to me like Columbia turns out when there's some juice in the game. Like the regular games are regular games, and the crowd's good, but it's regular games. But when there's anything, when there's any sort of extra juice to the game, when it's a rivalry game, when there's a chance at a big-time upset, or when there's somebody you just don't like coming to the house, whether it's Mark Stoops or Juice Wells, you guys turn out. When there's a little bit of vindictiveness at play, I think Willie B becomes one of those underappreciated home field advantages. My question is, do you think it is going to be that this Saturday for Juice Wells? Do you think it's going to be that way this Saturday for Ole Miss? And I'm going to tell you, I hope the answer is yes. I hope the answer is yes for all of the reasons that I said. I hope you guys have that place absolutely swaying when LSU comes to town, when College Game Day comes to town, because this is an opportunity for you to take what I have experienced at Willie B, and that is, this is one of the most underappreciated home field advantages in college football. And to put that reality on the national radar, to put the country on notice that LSU goes hard on Saturdays. You're not going to have the same amount of cameras pointed at you on Saturday when Ole Miss shows up. It is not. It's especially with Ole Miss having dropped to Kentucky. If Ole Miss was undefeated, was still a top 5 team, then after you thrash Kentucky, I think that storyline is there. And I think within the Southeastern Conference, that storyline is still there. This is, will Lane and the gang rebound, or is South Carolina for real? And I said this yesterday on the show. Clemson and South Carolina both have a huge opportunity to tell a story about their programs this Saturday. Clemson, if they go down to Tallahassee, Florida, and do what they better do and beat Florida State by 35, Clemson is going to be able to put it on the record that, hey, we ain't going nowhere. South Carolina also has an opportunity to tell a story about their program this weekend. And that story is that Kentucky win, that LSU ball game. Those weren't flukes. Those are for real. That's who we are now. That's who we are. You can expect more of that. This is not a flash in a pan. This is not a couple of games where we got a decent result. This is who we are. We should scare you. We are going to start getting those upsets consistently. We are going to start threatening everybody, and you do it with Ole Miss up front. So if it takes being mad at Juice Wells, if it takes wanting to embarrass Lane Kiffin, no matter what it takes, find whatever juice you need to find to make, sorry for using that word, find whatever electricity you need to find to make Willie B a football mecca on Saturday for this game against Ole Miss, because you South Carolina fans, you can tell a story. You can up some respect. You can start getting that street cred you've been looking for, A. And B, you can put the rest of the conference and the rest of the country on notice that this is not unusual anymore. This is who the hell we are.
There's also a concern with games of emotion. This is going to come down to coaches keeping it under control to a degree, because you can be overly emotional and start making stupid mistakes and do things that cost you the game. I've seen it happen both ways, where emotion fuels you, where you're so upset about someone leaving a team and going to another team, or a coach leaving and doing that sort of thing, and it fuels you to a victory. But it can also be detrimental because you get overly juiced and you start doing stupid things.
I agree entirely. One of the things that I would talk about, maybe even be concerned about, is, are there guys on this roster that were here last year, great one, that maybe they hold a little animosity for Juice Wells? Maybe they feel like it's their responsibility to go teach him a lesson this weekend. They feel like it's their responsibility to go, all right, you turncoat. All right, you traitor. All right, you Benedict Arnold. We got a little something for you to show you exactly what it was you left behind. You could have been a part of this, and instead you went over there, and now we're going to make you pay for that. But as you pointed out, and I think correctly so, with that comes the risk that that emotion gets a little over the top. The scariest thing for a coach is that your team gets too emotional, gets too invested. It cares too much, to the point that discipline breaks down in the face of excitement, in the face of emotion. You want to go hit that guy so hard that that becomes the only thought between the ears, and that's not your job.
Well, I've experienced this in high school. We had an assistant coach leave our team and just totally trash our team. The head coach got off the bus. The assistant coaches got back on the bus, and said, I don't care if you win the game. I just want you to hurt them because they hurt him, talking about the head coach. And I no, this is why I'm saying coaching comes into play. It was the wrong thing to do. And I was just as amped as everybody else and offended and hurt. But kids really got hurt that day. And so it's you got to control that rage to a degree, and that's up to coaching.
I agree. And again, like, was it the wrong thing to do? Playing extra physical, having a little gas in the tank? No, not necessarily. The wrong thing to do is if you are willing to sacrifice the W to prove a point, because I promise you, nobody, if you go out there and you bag and tag Juice Wells, and he has the most physical game and he gets the hell knocked out of him and he is hurting when he gets on the bus. If he's hurting, but they win that football game 24-10, they're not going to come back in 10 years from now and go out there. Shane can't go recruit on, hey, yeah, we lost to Ole Miss at home, but we hit Juice Wells real hard. Like, and, right? You know what you can recruit on? Hey, Kentucky went toe-to-toe with Georgia and beat Ole Miss. We beat them 31-6, and then we turned around and beat Ole Miss too. We did it at our house. You can be a part of that. I agree with you. I am interested in, because we played that audio from Chris Phillips a moment ago, and Chris said this is the game on the calendar outside of Clemson that South Carolina fans had circled in red. This is the game outside of Clemson that is the game Gamecock fans want more than any other game. This is the game that Willie B is going to be the loudest, is going to have the most sway for. And I don't know if that's correct or not. I think it is. I think it is. With that being said, I think for the fans, hell yeah, go there to hate on Juice Wells. Hell yeah, to go there and make that stadium loud, make that stadium sway. On the flip side, I agree with Lonzo. If I'm Shane Beamer, I don't want you even looking for Juice Wells. He's just another player. All right. He's just another guy. He's just another rebel that we got to turn away from the stadium. We got to send on home. If he crosses the middle, I want you to hit him just like you'd hit anybody else. But if your job as the free safety is a top high cover one, I don't want you shaded to his side of the field so he doesn't get a catch. Because if you shade to his side of the field to prevent him from getting a catch, the wide receiver on the back side of the play has more room to operate. Do you know that the other guy catching the ball can also be worth a first down, not just Juice Wells? Like, I get it. I get it. You might be a little upset, not that this guy transferred, but that this guy transferred and took advantage of you in the back half of the season until he left. But I can't have you doing anything different. I can't have you doing anything special. I can't have you going out there to prove a point against Juice if it comes at the expense of beating this football team. This football team, South Carolina, has an absolute opportunity to send a message to the rest of America that what you're seeing right now is real. This is who we are. This is the results you can expect from us, and we're on the way up. But if you sacrifice that against Ole Miss and you let them run you out of your own stadium, again, we've said this 10 times in the last year about South Carolina, all that momentum goes away. At some point, you've got to capitalize on it. And this feels like a damn good weekend to do that. You know what else it feels like a damn good time for? A sports flash.
Yeah, because it's like scheduled to be
back,
right now. The season is over for the Atlanta Braves, who were swept out of the wild card round after a 5-4 defeat last night. Max Fried was yanked after just 2 innings, surrendering 8 hits and all 5 runs through 6 outs. Michael Harris II had a 2-run homer in the 8th to bring the Braves within 1, but were unable to finish the job in the 9th. Atlanta finishes with an 89-73 record. In other Major League Baseball playoff games, the Detroit Tigers swept the Houston Astros 5-2. The Kansas City Royals knocked off the Baltimore Orioles 2-1, and the Milwaukee Brewers completed a comeback win over the Mets 5-3 to force the only deciding Game 3 tonight. Tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Citadel Bulldogs. It's Furman versus Citadel right here on your home for Paladins football. It is The Fan, Upstate. It is.
Was scrolling the social media last night, and I came across a video from SEC
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we did one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
Tom Hopper, founder and chairman of First America First League, a family of brands that
Ravens would be an interesting team for him to land on. Very interesting team. However, lot of noise that New Orleans is the landing spot, which please, because we need a number one. I love Olave, but he's a 2, natural 2, very good 2.
appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Your morning jolt of sports. It's the Rob Brown Show.
It was 23-14 at the half against the Nichols State Colonels, a team that you did not know was called the Colonels until right now. They let them hang for a while. Now they did put up 21 to the
Colonels, as in guys that are over the military, not like corn.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Spelled with a C, not a K. They let Nichols State hang around for a half.
Well, the corn is also spelled with a C.
Although sworn the corn was spelled with a K.
It is if you're a fan of a certain band.
I mean, I'm an idiot, but like corn kernels with a K, not a C.
Oh, Colonel. Yeah.
Corn is spelled with a C. I'm an idiot, but come on, man.
All right.
Do you think I was sitting here going, corn, K-O-R-N, blah, 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 blah. That's my impression of corn.
That was a very good
The band.
depiction. That's the old singer, not the new singer.
That was Creed doing corn. Nailed it. Something takes a part of me.
Don't hit snooze.
How am I allowed to do this?
You know, for a while, I thought the music didn't match, but listen to it again. I think it
Pretty
worked
good.
pretty good. So
Pretty good. Bow now. Bow now. Bow now. Bow now.
how many references am I missing because I haven't heard any new music in a while?
None from me.
But neither have you, so,
None from
we're
me.
probably good.
Here we go. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Radio Show is on your radio tablet, iPhone, Pixel. I had to get a new one. I upgraded again. I'm Pixel 9 Pro now. Pro edition, not regular.
Okay.
all the way to the top.
So I mean, what advantages does the Pro have that the normal?
Everything you wish your iPhone had. That's what I got.
Yeah, I am not wanting for anything. So
you're wanting for so much, you just don't know it yet.
Well, I am.
Best camera in the game, by the way.
Okay.
Best camera in the game. Not even close.
Show me some shots you took.
Not even
on
close.
It. I mean, that would be a better shot than anything I could do. When's the last time you took a picture on it?
Oh, look at this. This is I took a 2-hour time lapse of the last sunset down in St. Augustine. That's art right there.
Okay, so you let your phone sit out in the heat for 2 hours to take
an idiot.
Oh, okay. What were you doing during
Captain
that 2
Kidd's
hours?
Jolly Roger?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
But there's reflection of the flash in there because
it's not the flash. That's the lights over the display.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. If you say so.
I do say so. Point here is upgraded to the Pixel 9 Pro XL, big boy, and you iPhone people are in a cult.
How did they sell you to go? You know what you need,
I'll tell
Mr.
you
Brown.
I'll tell you.
A guy like you got to go Pro. Okay. All right. I mean, you're a big time talk show host, award winner. You can't go with any regular phone.
They did say all those things. That is correct. They did say all those things. But the have you heard the term forced obsolescence? Have you heard this term, forced obsolescence?
I believe I'm going to put it on my tombstone.
It might be a good title for the autobiography. Forced obsolescence, the Lonzo story.
It's got a ring to it, doesn't it?
So there's this belief that cell phone manufacturers out there do this thing where when the next newest, latest, greatest model of a phone is going to drop, all of the sudden, the old phones stop working.
The batteries are set up to fail after a certain amount of time, so it takes longer for them to charge.
They also stop updating the software for the old phones, so your phone starts just working slower and slower. Long story short, literally the day before I got hitched a couple of weeks ago, my old phone just stopped. Just a screen went all the way dark and wouldn't light back up. The all of a sudden, if you opened an app, it took like 5 seconds to open and load.
That never
it was just a
happens
huge
on an
pain.
iPhone, by the way.
Bull crap.
I've never had that problem.
You may not have, but I know for a fact it's happened on an iPhone before. It's the reason I left iPhone. It's also happening to the lady friend as the 16 rolled out a week and a half ago, and all of a sudden her 14 is starting to act like a jerk.
Well, did you drop said phone where things stopped working?
I mean, many times. That's also why I have a $90 case on this one.
Okay.
All right. But all of a sudden the phone crapped the bed. And so Robbie B had to go buy a new iPhone or buy a new Google Pixel. No, he did not. He does not have an iPhone. I'm not in your cult. You blue text having weirdos.
You can try that, but I just buy whatever phone is available. I don't care. I mean, if I also like FaceTime. FaceTime's a good thing.
Her no, I'm not gonna tell that story. Never mind.
Yeah, way to go. Look at you, restraint.
I know. I'm learning.
Is that a marriage thing that's teaching you restraint? Cool.
She listens to the show.
Just to see what you're gonna say.
She listens to the show. Hey, let's get to it. It is 7:04 in the morning. You are just a little over 55 minutes away from having to get yo bootay to the office. And when you do, you're going to want to talk about sports. And if you're going to want to talk about sports, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, worry not, my dear friends. That's what Lonzo and I are here for. And that's why Lonzo and I, we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "What kind of place is this?"
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports. This morning, if you do, you need to know what's going on. And we're here to help. By the way, how about our girl Kelsey Riggs getting promoted up to Sports Center anchor? Good on Kelsey Riggs.
I was just looking at the dress compared to yesterday, the person yesterday. And
it was the same person.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Kelsey Riggs, formerly of the ACC Network, and dare I say, friend of the show. We've had Kelsey on this show a number of times over the years. Kelsey
you think
Riggs.
she knows ACC Karen?
I think she worked with ACC Karen, TBH. I think remember, she was part of the ACC Net crew during the ACC media days where ACC Karen became the caricature that she is on the show. And she was ACC Karening on behalf of the show Kelsey Riggs was on. Now, I don't think that Kelsey knew what ACC Karen was doing, causing chaos and mass confusion for those of us on Radio Row. But I do think she worked with ACC Karen, but good for Karen. You know what? Good things happen to those who come on the Rob Brown Show. The Rob Brown Show bump is real. Add Kelsey Riggs to the list, all right? We have won intercontinental championships on this show. We have won heavyweight championships on this show. We have won every title in professional wrestling with one exception. Zoe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't think we have won. No, we did. R-Truth. Well, no, he had already won the tag team championship. He was already tag team champion.
Saying, but United States championship. I don't know if we've had that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we haven't won a tag team
we
title.
We would have, but someone canceled.
I forgot about that, and now I'm upset all over again. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, and then I promise we're coming to item number 1. We were scheduled the day I left to drive down to St. Augustine. We were scheduled to interview L.A. Knight. Yeah. And I want you to know, and this is a true story, because the interview was scheduled for, I think, 11:30 on that Wednesday. That was the first day I was off. We were driving down. And I told the lady friend, and she's like, listen, I don't care if you do the interview, but I do not want to leave afternoon for the 6.5-hour drive down there, especially when we have so much to do. If you can do it on the road, we can stop. And I'm like, okay. So I made all the arrangements, dude. Like, we left at an exact certain time so I could be in an exact certain place so that I could have Wi-Fi. I brought my mixing board with me. I brought my webcam. I brought my entire studio with me to St. Augustine to do one interview on the road. On the way there, I stopped, right? And we got a text like, what, 15 minutes before the interview?
Yeah, it was fairly close, yeah.
15 minutes. We were sitting in the parking lot of a place that I rented to make sure I could go in and plug in my internet, plug in my mixing board and all that. And we got a text going, there's been an issue with L.A. Knight's availability. We're going to have to postpone. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They offered to somebody else. I'm not going to say who out of respect, but I was like, yeah, no, I'm not stopping my trip down for this. So,
and plus, not ready for all that, prepared for an interview with somebody else. And
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm good enough. I'd make it up on the fly, and it would be a great interview. I just didn't want to. At that point, out of vindictiveness, I was like, nope, I'm getting back on the interstate. See you when I see you. Anyway, item number 1. The season has come to its conclusion for the Atlanta Braves. 5-4, they lose last night to the San Diego Padres. That also is a 2-game sweep of the Atlanta Braves by the Padres that kicks them out of the wild card round and out of MLB's postseason. It was a bad night for Max Fried, who, if he's looking for that big-time contract elsewhere, last night he did not make an argument for it. Max Fried, which is 2 innings, surrendered 8 hits, 5 earned runs, K'd just 2 before he got bounced from the game yesterday evening. The good news for Atlanta was they were able to chase Joe Musgrove. Now, Musgrove did have some tightness in his pitching elbow, but Musgrove, after 3.2, had surrendered only 1 hit, 1 earned run, K'd 4 before he was removed from that game. I shouldn't really say he was chased from the game. He was not chased from the game. He was banged up, or at least at that point of the game, it was pretty obvious that the Padres' bats were very alive, so they were able to take the pressure off of Musgrove and give him some time to go get tested and ready as the Padres now get set for their NL West rivals, the LA Dodgers, in round number 2 in the divisional round. The Braves offense mustered just 6 hits last night, 3 of them by Money Mike Harris, including an 8th inning home run that brought the Braves to within 1, but nobody else could do much of anything else. Ozuna had 1 hit. Soler had 1 hit. It was also a home run, a 1-shot bomb from Jorge Soler in the 5th inning that made it at least look like or feel like it was going to be competitive. But at the end of the day, the Bravos just could not get the bats hot enough to make anything happen in this one. You add that onto the fact that Max Fried had a disaster of an outing, and that was all she wrote for the Braves, both in the wild card round and in the playoffs as a whole. The Braves finished the season with a record of 89-73. And will now head into the offseason to see what they can do aside from get a better hospital unit to keep guys out of it next year. In other Major League Baseball playoff scores last night, there will be only one decisive Game 3 tonight. That Game 3 will take place between the Mets and the Brew Crew at 7 o'clock. The Brewers complete a come-from-behind victory over the Mets 5-3 last night. That sends them to a Game 3. The other 2 series also sweeps. However, both of these series by the road team. The Detroit Tigers went down to Houston and knocked off the Astros. This is the first time that the Stros have been bounced from the playoffs before the ALCS since 2019. The Royals knock off the O's last night, 2-1. Your final. Baltimore has now lost, I believe it is 10 consecutive playoff games. These last 2 get them swept out of the wild card round. The Kansas City Royals, maybe one of the most unappreciated teams coming into the playoffs, find themselves on the road in the divisional series, best of 5 upcoming. So there's where your MLB playoffs stand, with just 1 game remaining to wrap up the wild card round. Let's go to item number 2. Where might DaVante Adams end up? There are a couple of theories so far. One of them is that the New Orleans Saints have jumped out to be a favorite. James Jones on CBS Sports was talking to Emmanuel Acho and gave the reason why it is that the Saints have become a potential frontrunner.
James Jones, if there is one team that DaVante Adams should want to join, just one, what team is it?
It's the Saints. It's the Saints for me. Get back with your brother, Derek Carr, who you had an all-pro season with, right? The dude that raised you, a lot of people don't know, Keith Williams, is the receiver coach at New Orleans.
What do you mean raised you?
Raised him. Coached him at Fresno State, was a father figure to him at Palo Alto High School in the Bay Area. Boom, boom, boom.
I need you to do something for me, James, because nobody else is going to say what you are about to say, and this matters. You mentioned Keith Williams. I'm looking at Keith Williams. I've never heard his name a day before in my life.
That's crazy.
Fresno State wide receiver coach from 2009 to 2011. I believe DaVante Adams probably would have been at Fresno somewhere along those lines. So it's safe to say Keith Williams recruited him back when DaVante may have been 16 or 17.
Yeah. So when I was training, DaVante Adams was still in high school before Fresno State. He used to come out there and train with myself and Coach Doug. Keith Williams recruited him to Fresno State, coached him at Fresno State. He still, every single offseason, wherever Keith Williams was, when he wasn't in the National Football League, he would go and train with Keith Williams. Now Keith Williams is at the Saints. His old quarterback from Fresno State from the Raiders is at the Saints. Really good chemistry. I think the Saints would be a perfect fit. And like I said before, I do not think the Saints are far off.
Adam Schefter also reporting that DaVante Adams has a wish list of 2 teams, the Jets and the Saints. So right now, the 2 front runners appear to be New Orleans and New York. Likelihood for me, he ends up in New York because they've got the room, and I think they are desperate right now. I think the Saints are desperate too. They put up 47 and 41 in the first 2 games, but then they're 0-2, including a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, who got punked by the Buccaneers the next week, and a divisional loss to the Atlanta Falcons on the road this past weekend. I think the Saints are desperate, but Robert Saleh is just about out of a job at this point. Aaron Rodgers, as Lonzo pointed out on Monday, looks absolutely brutal right now, completely beat down. It's just going to depend on what happens and who makes the better offer. The bad news is neither one of these teams is exactly in cap heaven right now. The Saints are right up on it. I believe the Jets have a little bit more room to operate, but DaVante Adams has a big contract that you have to take over, and the Raiders are looking for a first-round pick. I think realistically, DaVante's going for a second-round pick somewhere, maybe a second and like a seventh, or probably more likely like a third and a sixth. Because the argument's going to be, we're happy to take him off your hands. We're happy to get rid of that cancer for you. But we also got to eat a fat contract to make that happen. So we're gonna have to keep some capital here. We'll see how that plays out. But suffice to say, those seem to be the two front runners. Lonzo proven correct yesterday afternoon when Shefty also reported that the Raiders will not consider a trade to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that that's easy to say until the check's on the line. Again, I would be curious to see what, if anything, it was that the Chiefs, if they're even interested, would be willing to put on the table. I think it's easy to say I'm not considering that. But as the $1 Million Man once said, everybody's got a price. If the Chiefs pull up with a first, a second, and a fifth, I don't think you can say no to that. But right now, the Raiders say they would. We'll see how that whole situation plays out down the line. Let's go to item number 3. Honestly, I don't know what item number 3 is. Is that weird? Is it weird that this is like a real slow day in the world of sports? I got a bunch of stories I could get to. We got NBA Media Day that happened, and practices are underway with the NBA season now about a month away. LeBron James has apparently, Lonzo, been beating the hell out of Bronny at practice, which, good. He needs it.
Shocker. Well, I mean, it's not like he hasn't done it before now, probably. So I don't know why it would be any different.
For sure. Go a
little bit harder, at family.
For sure. You have got over in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins have a big problem. Jalen Phillips is done for the year with a partially torn ACL that he suffered in that loss to the Tennessee Titans this past weekend. Joe Burrow said that his aim is to be, and I quote, damn near perfect, end quote, for the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend when they take on the Baltimore Ravens. Over in Major League Baseball, we mentioned Joe Musgrove. He's got to undergo testing on his elbow. Left the game last night after just 3 innings with elbow soreness and a little bit of inflammation. That could be a big problem for the San Diego Fathers as they head up against the Dodgers in the next game. Over in the NHL, we've got trades galore happening as we are just about a week away from the start of the NHL season. Over in college football, Auburn has just flipped a 4-star quarterback away from Notre Dame. You heard me correctly. Auburn, by the way, this kid's name, Lonzo, Deuce Knight, Knight. That's a damn football name.
Absolutely.
Number 2 dual threat passer in the 2025
Although
cycle.
You don't want to say his last name first, followed by his first name.
Working on the night deuce. See, I'm a morning guy, which is problematic because usually it's about 9:15, 9:30, and it's like, is the show over yet? Is the show over yet? Anyway, that's enough of that. So I don't really. I did my job
totally
poorly.
Threw you with that.
You did.
It just
it hit me after you said it, and about 9:30. I don't really have an item number 3, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm bad at my job, but I don't really have an item number 3. Terrence Crawford. Hey, that's it. Terrence Crawford was offered. Never mind. Is that in the Fight Club?
You've just said. You've said 35 things for 3. Okay.
Is this one in the Fight Club?
No, it's not.
Terrence Crawford said that he was offered a deal to fight Conor McGregor in an MMA bout, and he rejected that deal. Yeah, because he's not an MMA fighter.
No. It was if it's the one I saw, it was a two fight thing, and one was boxing and one was MMA.
According to
must be a different guy if it's not him.
No, it is. According to Turkey Al Sheikh, the chairman, I think I nailed that. The chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, they offered them a 2-fight agreement, one in boxing, the other MMA. McGregor said they would have been paid, quote, hundreds of millions of dollars. McGregor said he was ready to go. Crawford declined. Yeah, again, I wouldn't want to do that either. That's an entirely different sport. This is why people like Jake Paul get crap for fighting MMA guys in boxing matches. It's not the same thing. It's just not. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live reading. We're back. Stay right there for me. Thank you. friends, it's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is
Yeah, you're not watching it for any other reason other than the fight itself.
No, I'm trying to win my bets. Obviously, I trust these people with my bank account. That's the reason they got famous. None other.
This would be very chauvinistic of you.
Correct. Correct. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Do our audio blitz in the next segment because beginning at 8 o'clock, we are pretty much full for the rest of the ride. We've got Lulu Kessin coming on at 8 o'clock from the Greenville News to talk South Carolina Gamecock football. Then immediately after that at 8:20, Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game out of Atlanta will join us to talk Braves ball. Then at 8:40, Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast will join us. We'll talk with Rashad about this weekend's contest for the Panthers. Then at 9 o'clock, Hayden Ass Mario from the BetQL Network will join us. We'll talk some NFL and get his thoughts on DaVante Adams and more. Then at 9:20, Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo. We'll take you through the world of MMA and professional wrestling. And then, obviously, that last segment of the show will be the last place for you to get your thoughts in, as well as hit what the X is going on the way out the door. So, if you want to get in, it's pretty much this segment right now. 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. Text line 71307, 71307 if you'd like to come at us in that direction. You can also use the voice notes on the Odyssey app. Open your Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, and on that page, there's going to be two buttons. An orange button that says Listen Live, which you can do and listen to the Rob Brown Show or Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson every single day, as well as all of the other fine programming right here on the Fan Upstate. The button next to it, though, it's a little circle with a microphone in it. And if you click that button, you can record a 60-second voice message that will come directly to me right here on the laptop. Go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the microphone button, and leave your 60-second voice note. It can be about anything you want, and it is open 24/7, 365. It is the only method of communication open 24/7, 365. Go to the Odyssey app. Go to the Fan Upstate page, click on that microphone, leave your 60-second voice note, and I'll get it right on the old laptop right here in front of me, free on the Odyssey app. So there you have it. There's the schedule for the remainder of the radio program. Got a couple of other things I want to get to. Let's start with this. The 12-team playoff could experience in the next couple of years a growth to 16 teams. I'm going to play you a clip from Damian Harris of CBS Sports where he said it's actually a bad thing, and here's why.
Problem with the 12-team playoff system.
Are you a hater?
I'm a hater because we're having this conversation when we just got done talking about Bama, Georgia. It's two different tiers of football that are going to face to play for that. To me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I get it. You want to give more people a chance. You want to make this like March Madness. You want to give the underdogs a story, but this is college football. It's not the same. So Bama, Georgia, Texas, those teams, they should not be mentioned in the same breath as a Notre Dame team that can still get in the playoffs after losing to Northern Illinois.
I heard that clip and I thought to myself, welp, Damian, if the Bama, Georgia's, Texas is of the world, you'll notice he left off Ohio State, Lonzo. Disrespect. If the Bama, Texas, Ohio State's, Georgia's of the world, I'll throw them in there because I'm a respectful man, if nothing else.
We appreciate it.
You're very welcome. If those teams are just out and out that much better than Notre Dame, who lost to Northern Illinois, which is true, I did the research last night, then what are you worried about? Shouldn't they just beat them? I mean, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Like if they are just that much better than the Notre Dames and there's no, remember, for me, the whole thing about going to a 12 or 16 or 20 or 24 team playoff which I think 16 is the cap. Not I'm saying it should be the cap. I'm saying I think that is what I don't think you're ever going to get to a point where you're going to have a seed below 12 be a legitimate threat to win the Natty. But to me, the whole premise was from the very beginning. The whole premise was give some teams a shot, right? Give some teams a shot. Stop leaving out teams that I know it doesn't happen all the time, but stop leaving out teams that a lot of us think could have a shot just in favor of the same handful of teams every year. Did Notre Dame lose to Northern Illinois? Yes. I guess the question you have to ask here is, does a loss like that disqualify you from being a contender? Like, should you be tossed out because of a loss like that? And the answer to me is no.
It used to. But we're not there anymore. We're in a different spot, and it's people still clinging to how things used to be, and it's not that way anymore. Like, get with it, or find another profession, I suppose.
Yeah, let's be very clear. We're not going back to the old system. It's in the books, all right? And again, as we say all the time, if you want to know how and why a decision got made, follow the dollar bills, y'all. More TV games means more TV money. More money means, it means more money. So we're never going back. But the reality here is, while I am willing to acknowledge that the reason this decision got made was so that there would be more money on the books at the end of a national championship run, at the same time, it still worked out better for us because we're going to get to see more of the best teams. Now, I understand that many of you are upset because you feel like it took away from the importance of every regular season game mattering. I don't think that is the case. It still has an importance because of first-round playoff buys, home field advantage in the first-round game, et cetera, et cetera. There are still reasons that even though, say, Georgia loses to Alabama, that loss still matters a lot. Why? Because Georgia will now have to, in my opinion, they will have to win out to get to the SEC championship game, which is their only way to get the bye. It's not their only way into the playoffs.
Yeah,
but if they lose that game and they finish 11-2, guess what? Or excuse me, 11-2, guess what? There's no guarantee Georgia's in the playoffs because you may have two 12-0 teams play in the ACC title game. You may have two 12-0 teams play in the Big Ten title game. You may have two 12-0 teams play in the Big Ten title game. And if all those things come to pass, and there's 3 conference champs plus the next one, and you have 3 runners up that are all 12-1, and then you have Georgia that's 11-2, there's no promise Georgia gets in. So this concept that the regular season doesn't matter as much, maybe it doesn't because you're not at a spot where the only way to guarantee, and by the way, we already were very clearly past the spot where undefeated doesn't guarantee you anything anymore, Florida State last year, but you're past the spot where undefeated guaranteed you a trip. So I don't think that it knocks the importance of the regular season quite as much as Damian Harris points out. And oh, by the way, you talk about going to a 2-tier system. We're well on our way already. And I'm not just talking about from the teams that are eligible for the playoffs. I'm talking about having the SEC and the Big Ten playing one league over here and everybody else playing in a whole different league over here. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Your thoughts?
Nah, break. We need a
break.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll get Lonzo's thoughts.
No, we got a lot of stuff coming up. So,
we do.
Yeah.
Audio Blitz coming up. And then Lulu Keston to talk Gamecocks, Abe Gordon to talk Braves, Rashad Beard to talk Panthers, Hayden Ass Mario to talk NFL, Lonzo to talk pro wrestling, boxing, and MMA. And then who the hell knows? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Not going to be the reason we're later than we already are.
Not late. 7:35. Isn't that our mark?
No, it's 7:30.
I will push back on that. I will actively go push back.
You didn't push back in the first place. You're not going to push back now.
No, I will if it's going to become regimented, because that creates a situation where I'm going 20 minutes in the last segment. 20 minutes.
Yeah, you do the same thing in the first segment. I don't see what the difference.
No. We have to be out by 15 in the first segment.
We don't go out at 15.
We go out at 15 now more than we used to. Yeah, we do. We went out at 17 today. That's 15.
No,
17 is 15.
No, it's not.
That's boy math.
Okay,
17 is 15.
Okay. That's not the math that management uses, though.
Who are they? What do they think they're in charge?
Pretty much. So not only is there math in radio, there are math arguments in radio, which is just weird.
What you owe to the IRS. Taxpayers should know. Huge savings are now being made available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes for years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or under audit, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today. To see what savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379. 800-511-0379. Again, that's 800-511-0379. Tax relief applicant. Solutions for real people.
What if I told you that there was a single management software that could handle your CRM, accounting, manufacturing, marketing, inventory, sales, and everything in between for a fraction of the cost of the dozens of disconnected platforms most companies rely on to manage their business? Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's Odoo. Odoo is the end-all, be-all for any business of any size, and it's ready to help your company reach the next level and beyond. Learn more at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Man, I just know Friday's going to come and go, and I'm still not going to have power. It just,
I mean,
being able to, get up and do my show prep on Saturday morning, go in and watch some football, all in the air conditioning.
I really just want power by noon. I really just want to do the show from my house and then stay there.
I get it.
The audio blitz, the best sound that we heard from the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Not from the weekend. It's freaking Thursday, idiot.
I'm surprised you even know what day it is. Yesterday, I was struggling.
They're just blending together.
Yesterday, I was like, I have no idea what day it is.
Yeah, they're just, at this point, they're just, the days without power.
Let me tell you what they done. They done kicked your ass, son. Wow.
And they continue to do so.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. All right. Let's get to it. Audio Blitz, best sound that we have heard over the past couple of days. I don't know why. You know why I love this. This is from the Ringer podcast. Not DaVante Adams. Well, I'll just let you hear it.
Alan Lazard was called for, he did finger guns when he got a first down, little finger guns, and they threw the flag and put him back 15 yards. And I just have to throw out the double standard of the Patriots, when they score a touchdown, there's a literal firing squad on the field. They shoot muskets.
I mean, the Buccaneers shoot cannons.
The Buccaneers shoot cannons when they score a touchdown. And then the players shoot an imaginary gun. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What example does this set for the children?
Meanwhile, they got like F-18s flying over the stadium beforehand.
I just love the idea of a firing squad like 10 feet away.
That's actually really funny. The Revolutionary War guys
standing there.
Maybe if instead of miming a Tommy gun, he mimes an old musket.
Load the musket.
Yeah, maybe if he loads the musket,
He's
that's
like
fine.
biting the gun or the whatever it is, packing it down.
Take 40 seconds to do it.
He's like, it's like, yeah, that's like a pipe cleaner thing in there. You're shoving in there.
Wadding up the musket ball and putting it in there.
It's like an intricate process he's doing in the end
Takes
zone.
him 4 minutes.
Number one, if that's not the most Rob Brown show discussion I've ever heard.
I loved every second of it.
100%.
And I'm so impressed that combined, they knew kind of how to load and shoot a musket.
You ready for fun?
You're going to say they were wrong.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
I've done it before.
Of course you have.
I've done it before.
And were you in full reenactment
I was
regalia?
not, but I was at a Civil War reenactment, and I got to load a front end muzzle loader, like an old school one. So the process is that thing. You're not actually biting. Actually, you're actually pulling the cloth off of a gunpowder packet that you put down into the muzzle. Then you put the muzzle ball or the mini, which is what the earliest version of a rifle bullet was called. And then you pack those things down there. Then you pull the hammer back. Then you put a sprinkle of gunpowder underneath the hammer. When the hammer strikes the gunpowder, it lights. That gunpowder then travels down into the barrel of the gun. It explodes that gunpowder cartridge that's behind either the musket ball or the mini, and that's what ejects it from the front end of the muzzle loader. It's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun to do. A good Revolutionary or Civil War soldier with a front end muzzle loader could get 2 shots off a minute with a front end loader when you had to manually reload. A good one could get 2 shots off a minute. The average time, if I recall correctly, from when I got to do this, the average time was closer to 45 seconds a shot for most soldiers. But one who was very well trained could get it done in a minute. However, I would like to say, Alan Lazard, you will become my favorite football player of all time. I mean it. If the next time you score a touchdown, and double points if you do it against the Patriots, if instead of coming, and by the way, he didn't come up and remember what the LSU player did the other day or against USC that got the penalty that effectively lost them the game. He came up and he pulled out a machine gun and he aimed it at the opposing players. Can't do that. All right. Pretending to shoot a person is different. Alan Lazard did the finger guns, right? Like the old school thumb finger guns. And he just did it down the field where the first down marker goes. If this man rises from the turf triumphantly after his next catch for a first down or touchdown, and he was to pull out the musket, open the powder horn, dump the powder in there, ram the cartridge and the ball down there, cock a musket hammer, add the black powder, and fire a musket, he will be my favorite player of all time at that point.
America.
That would go up there with Joe Horn's cell phone of my favorite celebrations of all time. However, like I said, that might be the most Rob Brown Show conversation I've ever heard on not the Rob Brown Show. Hey, speaking of DaVante Adams, which we weren't, but I needed to get there anyway. Here's Bomani Jones and Mina Kimes talking about how we got here.
The Raiders say they're considering trading DaVante Adams. No, man, y'all want to trade DaVante Adams. It starts at a second-round pick. He makes a lot of money. And didn't that boy learn the last time that it ain't show friends?
The way DaVante Adams feels about Derek Carr is like the way some people talk about their high school girlfriends and they just never get over it. That man loves that man. He loves him so much that he left Green Bay to go play with Derek Carr. It is befuddling to me that he wants to follow him to the ends of the earth. I don't think that the Saints are going to happen. I think the Jets are far more likely, that reunion.
If I was him, I'd rather go to New Orleans right now and play with Derek Carr than go up to the Jets and play with Aaron Rodgers.
Really?
Aaron Rodgers appears to be this girl that he used to holler at for a while, but she ain't put no new posts up in a couple of years. It ain't the same as it was a couple of years ago.
It ain't the same as it was a couple years ago. Bomani and Mina Kimes saying that DaVante Adams' love affair of Derek Carr is, and I quote, befuddling. It's not. He's a future first ballot Hall of Famer.
Bigger impact on which team? I think he would be a great impact on the Jets because the young receivers would see what a real receiver looks like.
Honestly, I think that's true on either team.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's true of both New York and New Orleans. Listen, the most experienced receiver that you've got, or at least the most successful and experienced receiver you'd have down there in New Orleans is Chris Olave. And I love Chris Olave. All right?
Either way, he gets to play with an Ohio State
That's
receiver.
also true.
So
Olave.
Garrett needs him more so that he'll stop yelling at him,
He needs somebody to take the wrath of Rodgers away. I think New Orleans needs a one, and I think the Jets need a leader. I think he's a good fit either way. Now, will either one of those teams make the play? I don't know. But he'd fit in either place. Hey, here's a fun one for you. This is Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick.
Anyone for Jordan Montgomery being a Diamondback, you're talking to the guy that should be blamed. Because I brought it to their attention. I pushed for it. They agreed to it. It wasn't in our game plan. When he was signed right at the end of spring training. And looking back in hindsight, a horrible decision, to have invested that money in a guy that performed as poorly as he did. It's our biggest mistake this season from a talent standpoint.
Jordan Montgomery signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was the last of the big free agents available in Major League Baseball. The D-backs made a play. Jordan Montgomery in the regular season threw 117 innings, gave up 149 hits, 83 runs, 81 earned, 14 home runs, 44 walks, 83 Ks across 25 games, and ended the season with a 6.23 ERA for a guy that they paid a buttload of money to. But here's my question. Is it within the owner's scope, great one, to come out and just put one player? Remember, the Diamondbacks had to have a sweep of the doubleheader between the Braves and the Mets by one team or the other to make it to the playoffs. Obviously, they split. Obviously, they were always going to split because whoever won game one was in. Why would they try in game two? So the Diamondbacks were effectively eliminated the night before. Is it a good idea or a bad idea for an owner to come out and completely devastate a player like that the way that he just did?
It's kind of a double standard, isn't it? You want these guys to be honest, and then when they are honest or appear to be honest about a player, you kind of questioning why would they do that? But still, everyone's, I wish they would tell the truth. I wish they would come out. Dude comes out and does it, and it's like, should you have done that? I mean,
I want you to know, I completely agree, and I don't have any issue. I don't have any issue with that at all. Why? Because he's right. Jordan Montgomery was bad this year. They spent millions. Now, you can say, in that kind of on you, and it kind of on you that you paid that guy that much, but that is what the market dictated, right? That's what you had to pay to get a guy who was a bona fide all-star and just did not perform like a bona fide all-star this year. I don't have an issue with the take. That's an owner being candid. Don't we want more of that from somebody who's not Jerry Jones? Don't we want more of that? The answer to me is yes. On top of that, the fact that he took responsibility. He's like, that was my decision, not my GM, not my head coach. I wanted that. I signed the check. I pushed the GM to make that move. Do you understand how refreshing it is to have an owner, even if he does blast the player in the process, how refreshing it is to have an owner that's willing to take responsibility for his personnel decision? Aiden Hutchin was talking to Mike Florio. Florio had one important question for the Detroit Lions megastar.
What do you think of the uniforms you guys had last night?
Let me ask you this. What do you think of the uniforms?
See, I'm old, okay? I've got to get off my learning mentality. I'm a fan of the traditional uniforms. I like to see you guys go back to the 70s uniforms. I like it when they peel off the logo altogether and it's just silver helmet with the blue shirt and the big silver block numbers. I like the traditional uniforms. And I know it's a uniform that you guys wore in the past, but I feel like Nike's always saying we want more. I can't keep the team straight, Aiden. I need one uniform per team or I get confused. You got to bear with me.
Mike, you're old, man. That's no fun, dude. Come on. I mean, I freaking love them. Let's spice life up a little bit,
Let's spice life up. You know what? Good for Aiden Hutchinson. Good for Aiden Hutchinson. We need to start, y'all need to start continuing what I've been doing, which is calling out old fans for holding back progress. All right? Give me some spice. Give me some new unis. Remember, one of the biggest things that's happened in recent memory in college football is the Oregon Ducks. Remember a handful of years ago when Oregon started rolling out the highlighter greens and the paint speckled unis and the chrome helmets and all that? You remember what happened to Oregon when they did that? All of a sudden, recruiting went through the roof for this school. This was pre-NIL.
As the elder on this station, I just want to say, stop doing throwbacks. Stop doing color rush. I don't care if you change the uniforms and make them brand new and like Paisley or something. I don't care. I guess Paisley would be going back. Although there's been no Paisley uniforms.
I don't think there's been any Paisley unis.
They would look good in Minnesota. I mean, as a tribute to Prince, why not? But anyway, I don't have a problem with that. But the old throwbacks, like the ones that look like Hamburglar and stuff, stop that. I mean,
those one the Giants wore in week 1 were atrocious.
Yeah,
atrocious.
I mean, who is that really for?
Yeah,
the throwback uniforms that they're doing.
These are the jerseys we wore in 1912.
Yeah.
All those people are dead.
Those people are dead.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me some spice. Give me some spice. I totally agree with Aiden Hutchinson on that one. Let's have some fun, man. Let's have some fun. All right. Last one. Let's go with this. Let's go with Joel Klatt echoing something that I said on Tuesday.
As the game went along, what you got over the emotion of the first, quarter and a half. You got over the emotion of the environment. And what I saw in the second half was a defense in Georgia figure out the offense in Alabama. What I saw in the second half was a team in Georgia start to pick apart the weakness that I actually talked about that Alabama has, which is their secondary. And so that's why I'm sitting here. And if I'm Carson Beck, I'm sitting here on Sunday and I'm thinking to myself, please get me another chance at that game. Please just get me Bama. I don't care. I'll play him in the parking lot. I just want one more quarter, one more snap. We just ran out of time. That's what I'm feeling if I'm Carson Beck and Kirby Smart for that matter, because the defense had largely figured them out until that long, ridiculous play from Ryan Williams, which was sensational. On the flip side, if I'm Alabama, I'm like, man, we kind of escaped. They had us. They were coming back. We couldn't do anything. We weren't doing anything offensively. Maybe we got too conservative, or maybe they kind of figured us out a little bit. They hemmed in our run game. They kept Jalen Milroe from getting the edge. And now all of a sudden you're starting to think to yourself, like, I don't want to have to do that again. Can we beat them again? I don't know, man. Can we replicate that first half again? I'm not sure.
Joel Klatt saying Georgia will want Bama. Bama does not want Georgia. Look, I agree with everything said. Georgia figured it out. Georgia put it together. All of a sudden, that offense started ticking. They started attacking the second level. And once they started attacking the second level, it felt like a new game because it was. I would also make the argument, though, on the flip side, Ryan Williams is the game plan, right? Oh, if Ryan Williams wouldn't have made that game. Right, but he can. And he does. And that wasn't even the best catch. That catch, spin move, step back, let the defenders hit each other, run around him. That wasn't even the best catch that he had that night. That is part of the game plan. Like I get so frustrated when people when people say, oh, if he wouldn't have, yeah, but he did. And that's part of it. Yes, the defense has got to be better. But I think Bama also knows this is the new Alabama. This is Kalen DeBoer's Alabama. This ain't Nick Saban's where they're happy to go win a game 17-14. This is Kalen DeBoer's Alabama. They're happy to win games 54-47, and Ryan Williams is part of that game plan. Bama's good enough to beat Georgia again. I think that game they play it 10 times, I think you're going 5-5 both directions. Bama just got the first one. They're not done. I told you this preseason. They're not done, Alabama. Nowhere close to it. All right, when we come back, Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News to talk Gamecocks. Abe Gordon to talk Atlanta Braves from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast at 8:40. 9 o'clock, Hate and Ask Mario. 9:20 Fight Club right now. Sports Flash.
They're not done. You know who is? The season is over for the Atlanta Braves, who were swept out of the wild card round after a 5-4 defeat last night. Max Fried was yanked after just 2 innings, surrendering 8 hits and all 5 runs through 6 outs. Michael Harris II had a 2-run homer in the 8th to bring the Braves within 1, but they were unable to finish the job in the 9th. Atlanta finishes with an 89-73 record. Baseball plays too many games. Just saying. In other Major League Baseball playoff games, the Detroit Tigers swept the Houston Astros 5-2. The Kansas City Royals knocked off the Baltimore Orioles 2-1, and the Milwaukee Brewers completed a comeback win over the Mets 5-3 to force the only deciding Game 3, which is tonight. And make sure you tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as Furman Paladins take on the Citadel Bulldogs. It's Furman versus Citadel right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, Upstate. There's a story behind that, Stephen, but no, they shouldn't.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
I can speak to Lulu.
Oh,
wow.
Healing
substances
concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief. Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Ralph-Funk America, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing e-bike scene with Blue Dot buttons. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bike.
Does she know?
I tweeted her or DM'd her last night and this morning, and I haven't heard back from her. So if she doesn't answer, she doesn't answer.
I'll try one more time, but I'm giving voicemail.
Okay.
Where's she at? Is she up here? Or
She's in Columbia.
Okay. So she should be good as far as power, maybe. Columbia wasn't hit that bad, right?
I don't think so.
AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877.
I can speak to Lulu, please. Hey, this is Alonzo with Rob Brown Show. Are you good? Okay. All right. We've got about a minute. Hang on.
She literally DM'd me while you're on the phone with her.
Okay.
She said, "I'm so sorry. I had no clue I was supposed to be on today. I just woke up."
Yeah, she sounds like she just, yeah. That's why I asked if she's good, because it's like, she was usually a little more energy. So they want to have another Jay Billis moment.
I don't think Lulu's got that in her.
Yeah. The one guy who yelled at me and I actually was like, "Oh, please."
Steven, listen to me, man. You see this? I got a curve coming in right there. I've been working out. I got a curve coming in right
No, that's
there.
the shadow from.
No, it's not.
It is shadow.
You can see it. There's
Okay.
a bump right there.
That's
I still got that tricep kicking.
There we go.
Not
Look
as
at
much
that.
as it used to.
His elbows are wrinkly though. You know what that means?
And off we go. Hour number 3 of the radio broadcast begins right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great Lonzo with you, and a busy next hour and a half. In the very next segment, Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, Georgia, is set to join us to talk about the rise and fall of the 2024 Atlanta Braves. Then Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast will join us. We'll talk some Carolina Panthers as they get set. They've been in the news a little bit. The thought that potentially Deontay Johnson could be a target for a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll address that. Then 9 o'clock, Hayden Ask Mario from the BetQL Network will join us. We'll talk to Mario about all the biggest stories in the National Football League and set you up for week 5 in the NFL. Then at 9:20, Fight Club with the Great Lonzo, where we'll talk boxing, MMA, and pro wrestling, including making our picks for Bad Blood this weekend. And then we wrap the show up with your calls. But we lead off this hour with a guest that I am glad to have back in the fold. Didn't talk to her last week. Well, that's because I was down in St. Augustine, Florida. I was busy. I took some time, whatever. I deserved it. So did Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News, who joins us now on the show to talk some South Carolina Gamecock football. Lulu, good morning. Thanks for coming on. Sorry it was short notice. I was going to get back to you last night, but we haven't had power in a week, and I'm over it.
No worries. Good morning. You have every excuse. I'm so sorry about the power situation, and don't worry about it.
Lulu, there's a difference between excuses and reasons. I have said this on our show many times. Reasons are when something outside of your control prevents you from success. Excuses are when something within your control that you failed to do prevents you from success. Not having power for a week is a damn good reason to be a grumpy person.
Totally. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the saying, it's not an excuse, it's an explanation.
I like that a lot. Consider it adopted. Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. She covers the Gamecock athletic department for the Greenville News. All right, let's get into it, Lulu. First and foremost, as we get set for the Ole Miss running Rebels coming to town, you've heard the expression, the 24-hour rule, right? You can be happy about a victory for 24 hours. You can be upset about a loss for 24 hours. LSU's been in the back pocket for coming up on 2 weeks. At this point, I know it's a sore subject. I know it's one that that USC would love to have back, have another run at. But has this team grown mentally? Do you think that you are going to see a more mentally headstrong team after the loss to LSU that comes out this Saturday against Ole Miss?
I think so. It's a little bit tricky because of the open date. And obviously not playing last week, there was nothing to kind of go off of event. And then the week 4 win was kind of a blowout. So I do think that this team has learned from LSU, but at the same time, for me personally, that's kind of where I'm judging most right now is how have they learned from the LSU loss and how much will kind of those self-inflicted errors and penalties, like, is that negative pattern going to continue? Because I think that should have been one of the biggest takeaways from the LSU loss, regardless how they viewed the penalties, whether they thought they were fair or not, they were still called. And I think that there were a ton of penalties in that game that South Carolina deserves to be called for. So I think going forward, sort of my point of emphasis and sort of view of this team right now is like, are they mentally strong enough to play another close game when they're the underdog? Because it's weird, like Kentucky, they were the underdog going into it, but then they weren't ever really it wasn't ever really a close game. Like South Carolina just stepped on the gas. So it's sort of like LSU was their last sort of really competitive close game. And it kind of felt like South Carolina fell apart when things got tough. So I think regardless of who they're playing this month, obviously they have 3 SEC games in a row, but it's sort of like, okay, can they handle if people don't think they can win and then they're in a situation to win, how do they maturely kind of get themselves to the other side, unlike they did against LSU?
I love it. And I love that answer, Lulu. Discipline, I think, is going to be big in this game. When you have an offense like Ole Miss that loves to air it out, they've got a lot of different complex passing strategies that they bring at you. They're going to run a lot of guys a lot of different places. This is a team, I think, at Ole Miss that relies on you making mistakes. It relies on guys being out of position. It relies on guys missing assignments, etc. This game to me feels like if South Carolina is going to pull the upset in this one, and it will be an upset, a 9.5-point dog coming in, if they pull an upset, it's going to have to rely specifically on defense, on being disciplined, on being in the right place at the right time. I know this game's going to be emotional, both from the standpoint of getting an SEC win after the SEC loss and having Juice Wells on the other side, which we'll talk about here in just a minute from now. But to me, it feels like this might be the most important game, at least so far, of Shane Beamer's tenure, of being disciplined, being in the right spot at the right time, and making sure you're not making those mistakes, because this game, maybe more than LSU, this is where this game could be lost in what I really think, despite being a 9.5-point dog, is a winnable game for USC.
I agree with that entirely. And I think the biggest thing is how South Carolina approaches Ole Miss's success. That kind of goes off to what I was saying beforehand. But I sort of told Shane I wanted to pick his brain a little bit in the press conference earlier this week, because I do think one thing that's a little bit different about Shane than other coaches I've covered in the past is he takes a lot of accountability in specific moments. And when I say that in press conferences a lot, he'll list a mistake or a mishap and say, that's on me. That's a coach's mistake, whatever. So I asked him, how do you fix those mistakes within yourself? Obviously, he's responsible for correcting errors on the field and for his players. But I was like, what's your own process? And I wrote about that actually for a story that came out at like 5 a.m. this morning, I think. But regardless, it's sort of about how do you on the fly adapt and fix those mistakes? Because like you said, like Ole Miss it's a talented offense. There's no denying their skills. There's no denying the fact that they're going to put up points on South Carolina regardless. And it's sort of that question of, okay, how is South Carolina going to react to every little thing, both good and bad? Because I do think it's all about staying level-headed, because Ole Miss is going to look for South Carolina to, 1, make mistakes, and 2, be rattled by that.
Lulu Kessin from the Greenville News covers the Gamecock Athletic Department, joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Let's look across, and I think this game, Lulu, does have a lot of emotion to it for South Carolina. I think there's the opportunity to send a message that, hey, that win over Kentucky, that shoulda, coulda, woulda been a win over LSU. That's who we are now. We're not the little brother. We're not the beat down on anymore. We're going to get it done. But I think that message has to be sent against LSU. There's also the emotion of having Juice Wells on the other side. A lot of South Carolina fans feel like Juice Wells took advantage of the Gamecocks after he knew he was going to transfer. A lot of folks felt like he could come back at the end of last year and just elected not to because he knew he was going to transfer. He ends up at Ole Miss, and they make their return to Columbia. Do you feel like there's additional emotion in this game? And if so, is it something South Carolina's going to want to dwell on?
I'll be honest, I do understand if there is additional emotion. However, I also am well aware, based on the players' responses to questions this week, that they're not going to let us know, at least ahead of time, if there's additional emotions. I didn't bring up Juice Wells at all, but other reporters did. And a lot of just simple, like, yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, he's a good player. Just like Juju McDowell was like, that's my brother. Like, there's little personality, for lack of a better word, kind of given when Juice Wells was brought up. I definitely don't want to give an opinion on that kind of like taking advantage part just because I wasn't there last year and I haven't looked into much of those dynamics yet to answer that. But I do think that once they potentially see Juice on the field, depending on how much he plays, like that's naturally going to bring out other emotions. Regardless, I mean, yes, you in the world of transferring, you face old teammates all the time, but from my understanding, this teammate was a little bit different than others in the past. So I am curious, regardless of how much of a poker face a lot of the players put on now, how that actually plays out when they're on the field.
Lulu Kesson here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. What do you think, Lulu, the right game plan is for this team, offensive, defensively? Do you think there's going to be anything? I know you're getting Lenora Sellers back. That opens up, I think, some of the offense maybe you didn't have under Robbie. Rocket Sanders kind of had his breakout games in the last couple of weeks. I know he's also been nicked up a little bit. Offensively, defensively, do you think there's going to be any wrinkles that we're going to see out of this team this weekend we haven't seen yet?
I definitely think it will depend a lot on Rocket's health. Obviously, he's listed as questionable in the injury report right now, but that'll be updated because it's an SEC game. The injury report will be public every night until kickoff and updated. But to answer your question, I think that having a developed passing game, which South Carolina, I don't think they necessarily had yet against LSU. So I just imagine that Dowell Loggins in South Carolina will play into that a bit more. You kind of, to be honest, I mean, what do I know? But at the same time, you kind of have to compete with the receivers that Ole Miss has. I mean, obviously, I think probably Sellers runs the ball a little bit more than Jackson Dart does. But regardless, I think South Carolina will probably depend more on its passing game than it did against LSU, especially if Rocket is out. But I do think players like Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard kind of have to be huge on defense. I think Dylan he went from breaking through triple team coverage against Kentucky to sort of disappearing because of LSU's O-line, and not saying they lost the game because of that, but South Carolina, I would say their weakest kind of point on defense right now is their secondary. And when you're facing such talented receivers, you can't just let Dart sit in the pocket and have all day to throw to who he wants to. So I think Kennard and Stewart have to be absolutely huge rushing the passer and just giving him a lot of pressure, or else it could be a nightmare on defense.
Those defensive backs, Lulu Kesson, have been challenged. They were challenged by Nussmeier in the LSU game. Obviously, Ole Miss is going to want to take more shots down the field than anybody else. Defensive backs, are they up to the task? Do you think Shane Beamer can lean on them to at least limit the explosive plays from Ole Miss?
I think so. I trust that Beamer is true when he says game experience matters, and just playing games is going to help. And obviously you only get 12 and you can't just sit there and hope that, every game you improve. But I think that truly the LSU game and the Kentucky game were enough experience to at least compete against Ole Miss Saturday.
Lulu Kesson covers the South Carolina Gamecocks. She joins us here on Thursdays at 8 a.m. Last one, Lulu, before we let you go. We always end it with this one. South Carolina pulls the upset over the Ole Miss Rebels if blank.
If they're not their own biggest enemy, if they play like the game isn't, out of their own abilities, if they trust themselves, and if Ole Miss isn't so dang angry after losing to Kentucky that they lose some confidence and South Carolina takes advantage.
I agree with that. Let me give you my last thought, and then we'll let you go, Lulu. I've always said teams that get upset, they're way more dangerous the next week. They cover spreads at a ridiculous clip the next week. Here's the thing. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, but South Carolina's got a little answer to that, in that they got to sit home last week. They got to rest, they got to recoup, get healthy, get back to 100%, and an extra week of game planning. I actually think that kind of negates that edge a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'll quickly say in our work group chat, the second we all saw the final score of Kentucky, we were like, oof, that could be the worst case scenario for South Carolina. And then my mom was like, hey, maybe that makes them lose some confidence. So we'll see if Ole Miss plays more towards my mom's mentality or mine there. But it's helpful South Carolina got to watch that game. But man, yeah, Ole Miss, they could come out angry on Saturday.
Stellar take. I love it. Spot on. Lulu Kessing covers the Gamecock Athletic Department for the Greenville News. Joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. Lulu, you are the best. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week, win or lose.
Sure thing. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. Lulu's she's so polite. I love it. You can follow her on X.
We're not really used to polite.
Yeah.
It's just not
Most people be like,
we do.
screw you, Rob and Lonzo. I hope your weekend sucks. I hope you don't have power for another month. Not Lulu. Lulu Kessing.
Don't say that.
Lulu.
Don't speak that into existence.
Kesan. I regretted it immediately. Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta joins us next to talk Braves ball. Then Rashad Beard at 8:40 to talk Carolina Panthers. 9 o'clock, Hate and Ask Mario. 9:20 Fight Club. And then we're done. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys. Quick live, and we're back with Abe Gordon. Stay right there. friends, it's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing this around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. I gotta have a fan on.
Maybe if I have a sheet on, that would help. But
You not sleep under a sheet?
No, I normally sleep under a blanket.
Like a comforter?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I don't like sleeping with nothing over me, or at least partially
I
over
can't.
me.
Even if I'm hot, I at least have to have a sheet over.
Right. That's it. Just
Like the last couple of nights, I've been just under a sheet, but I have to have at least a sheet.
well, I'll pull the blanket even if it's just over my chest. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's a psychological comfort thing. It's dumb getting fat again. I just can't handle feeling like my fat is exposed even while sleeping. I want the squirrels and the possums, those guys to see it. We still got plenty of time, but you can give me his phone number.
Oh, yeah.
His number.
It is 404. Oh, wait, let me take us off the stream. Sorry, guys. Hold tight.
Yeah, don't mind. Although today, I took a 2-hour nap when I got home yesterday because it was cooler.
Yeah.
And as soon as it got hot in the house, I woke up.
Is it your house? My house has been cooler in the day than at night.
Yeah, at night it's
frustrating.
It's like an oven.
Yeah.
And but I will go outside on the new porch and read for a while. And I always seem to be getting right into the book I'm reading right when it gets dark. And but everyone's still saying that their Spectrum internet is down.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of problems with it last night where I haven't had a problem. So even if I do get power back,
I know it's going to happen.
games I play that are online, maybe I can't play.
Yeah. That's what Courtney, I'm like, I'll hotspot forever. The only thing I miss is I can't play video games right now.
Yeah.
Because the overwhelming, I mean, there are some I could play single player, but the majority, like I will get back into Skyrim if I don't have internet. But even still, I can't.
I mean, all that is stuff that I normally play, and I can't play that either. We'll see. I just have a lot of stuff I want to download.
Yeah.
Although technically I could buy it, and I can't play Starfield here. I could bring my Series X here. I'm not doing that though. Although I have Ravens at my house, maybe I'll bring hers and tell her I don't know how to do it. That'd be mean. Good morning. How are you? Nothing much. All right, we got about 30. Hang on. I love people I don't have to explain because they're radio people and they completely get it.
The 2024 season of the Atlanta Braves comes to its conclusion last night, swept out of the wild card round with a 5-4 loss on the road at the San Diego Padres. There's good and there's bad. The good, the Braves made the playoffs. The good, the San Diego Padres, best team in the second half, a nearly 70% winning percentage down the stretch. The bad news is the injuries got racked. There were questions about Brian Snitker's methodology at points in the season, et cetera, to discuss all of that and more. Joining us now on the phone lines, a friend of mine, both on the air and off, a legendary voice in the Atlanta sports scene. He is a host and producer on 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, Georgia. He is Abe Gordon. What's up, big fella?
How you doing, Rob? Yeah, it was a disappointing finish to what was a frustrating season, and now we have all off season to ask a number of questions about injury returns and Brian Snitker's future and Max Fried and whether or not the team is going to pay. So the season is over, but the questions remain.
Yes, I concur with that. Let's start at the top. Let's start with Snitker. There were points this season that I was very frustrated with Brian Snitker. There were managerial decisions. There were spots where I thought he was leaving guys out there too long. There were spots I thought he was pulling them early. And I think at the end of the day, obviously, Abe, I don't get paid millions of dollars to make day-by-day decisions about this baseball team, and nobody watches it play more than Brian Snitker does. But there were a lot of questions from the fandom about Snit and whether he is still the right guy for the job despite winning a World Series 3 seasons ago. Is there any jeopardy that Snitker is going to be on any sort of hot seat, or do you think the Braves are just going to chalk this up to, hey, we were a mash unit this year. He did the best he could. He got us in. That's good enough.
Yeah, I think the management and front office is understanding of the situation, and the fans can be frustrated if they want. The fans are going to nitpick. I'm going to nitpick. You're going to nitpick. But look, they lost game 1 against the Mets because Schwellenberger came out in the 8th inning. Guess what? I would have put him back out there in the 8th inning too. I think we always look at these decisions that maybe we question a little bit and remember the ones that go wrong, but never credit the ones that go right. I think, quite frankly, this is a masterful job to get to the postseason. I mean, every team deals with injuries, but no team has lost the amount of star power, firepower, and front-end talent that the Atlanta Braves did this year. You're talking about Cy Young. You're talking about MVPs. You're talking about multiple-time All-Stars. You're talking about Gold Glovers, all this stuff. So, no, I do not think he's on the hot seat. I think when it comes to Brian Snitker, the question is going to remain. I think he's like 70 years old. I know he's got multiple generations of family now. The question for him is when he wants to step aside. And he came out after the game last night and says he intends to coach next season. He's looking forward already to spring training, and he's ready to gear up and go again. So that seems to be what the plan is. That being said, I did have some wonderment about 2022 National League Manager of the Year, Skip Schumacher, who did step away from the Miami Marlins. And if there was a world in which Brian Snitker decided to step away onto his own, I think Schumacher would be pretty high up on the list. But no, Snitker pretty much came out last night after the loss, after the elimination, and said, I'm going to be back. And so that's what I expect.
We are talking with Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's talk about this series a little bit. Mentioned it, disappointing, sweet, mercy killing of the season. Yeah, you had some issues, man. You came into it because of that doubleheader and the injury to Chris Sale. You kind of had to shuffle up the pitching just a little bit. Max Fried last night, nowhere near what we're used to with Max Fried. But to me, the problem was more at the dish. 23 strikeouts, 1 walk across 2 games for this Braves team. Just you can say lack of plate discipline. Felt to me more like the Braves knew they were in a bit of a hole, maybe pushed themselves a little bit, maybe overextended at the dish. What would you say was the biggest problem in the series that cost the Braves a sweep?
Yeah, I think it was the Tigers maybe manager who spoke to his team before their AL wildcard series and says, hey, just go out there and do your jobs. We don't need anyone to step up and be a hero. And it kind of felt like the Braves were desperately trying the inverse of that, where everyone was trying to step up and be a hero. And with the exception of Michael Harris, who kind of would have been the hero if the Braves were able to muster anything else, because he was red hot in the 2-game series. That's what it felt like to me. We saw the comments from Eddie Perez to Marcelo Zuna against the Mets in game 2 of that doubleheader to say, hey, the team needs you. Don't think about yourself right now. It kind of felt like that's what the plate approach was, it's my opportunity to put my stamp on the Braves postseason. Let me see if I can hit a home run. And then obviously with what Michael King had working on Tuesday night, because he was outstanding, that plate approach did not mesh. So, but I mean, come on, Rob, how apropos is it that in a season marred by injuries, Max Fried's potential final start gets marred by a comebacker that hits him in the hip and obviously dealt with some discomfort after that? He worked his way out of the inning, but he was never going to be himself after that. I think he spoke to the manager and pitching coach after he gets hit and tells him, hey, this thing's bothering me. And that's why you saw him pulled at the time he was. So Of course, in a season that had been full of injuries, both at the plate and on the mound, one more to essentially, twist the knife in Braves fans' collective hearts.
The injury bug. We talked about that a little bit in the show. You brought it up there, Abe Gordon. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that would be the one thing that will be discussed about this Braves season so far this year is just riddled by injuries this year. You had Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna go down for the season. And basically the way I put it is everybody who wasn't Matt Olson and Marcell Ozuna spent extended time on the IL. There's not much you can do about it. You can talk about training staffs and you can talk about the medical protocols of the team and all that. I've done that with my New Orleans Pelicans for years now, and we just keep going back to the well for it. But do you think that is something that the Braves leave behind in 2024 and maybe are a healthier team in 2025? Is there something more to that, or is it just, hey, you had a bad luck season?
Well, the injuries are just bad luck. I don't think there's anything they did wrong in treatment and preparation, all that stuff. I mean, that's just going to happen. But I also don't want to cover up like this side narrative and say everything was injury related. There were a lot of guys who before their injuries were not playing up to par. You look at Michael Harris, and he got red hot when he came back. And so, it's convenient to say if he had been here the whole year. He was there for a good portion of the year, and he wasn't very good. Same thing with Austin Riley. Same thing with a number of guys. Acuna was off to a slow start. So I don't want to lean like super heavy on the injury bug. Certainly that played a role. And over the course of the season, maybe guys do get better, like we saw Michael Harris come back and look better. But it also wasn't just the injuries. There were some issues throughout the course of the season and guys that you count on to perform who weren't performing. I mean, Orlando Arcia, I don't know what his future is, but this was a guy that was an all-star. You paid him and you got him on a great deal, but he was an all-star, and coming back this year, you were expecting another sort of performance like that, and you didn't get it. And like I said, Riley was not great. Harris was not great. Ozzie was just average. And so it's more than just the injuries. But what the injuries did was deprive you of the opportunity to turn it around before the postseason. And I think that's what we're left with frustrating, especially because you go to the bump, you go to the starting pitching, and you're like, man, and even in this moment, injuries dealt with it, with Chris Sale not being able to go with the back issues. Because, like, if you're telling me that I got Chris Sale, Max Fried, Spencer Schwellenbach, and Ronaldo Lopez in a 7-game series, like, I don't care who's struggling at the plate. You have a chance. But that was taken away. And that's, again, of course, not even counting Spencer Strider coming back next year. So there's no doubt that the injuries are going to leave a lasting legacy. It is kind of what you're stuck on. It is kind of what you lean on as an excuse. But that's not to say if guys were healthy all year, they wouldn't have been any different.
We're talking to Abe Gordon. Last one, Abe, we'll let you go. I know there is a decision to be made if Max Fried is in any way interested in staying on Max Fried. A couple other guys that are going to have contracts coming up. Nuts and bolts, 1-minute answer. What's the offseason look like for the Atlanta Braves?
I think you try and find an upgrade at shortstop, whether that's internal or external. I don't think you can play Orlando Arcia again. He was an absolute disaster at the plate. And there becomes a point where the defense just doesn't make up for it. I think we reached that point this year. So I would look for an upgrade at shortstop if possible. I'm still optimistic, Rob. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I know I was optimistic about Freddie. Didn't happen. I was less optimistic or even really caring about Dansby, and he's also gone. But for some reason, I'm optimistic they're going to find a way to pony up for Max Fried. So we'll see how that one goes. But look, Fried's going to get offers. There's no doubt about that. So I think you retain Brian Snitker. You work towards getting Strider and Acuna back for opening day. You upgrade at shortstop. You try and figure out what's going on in left field. And then hopefully you can bring back Max Fried. I think that's the plan.
Abe Gordon, host and producer on 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, Georgia. You can follow him on X at Abe Gordon, a gentleman, a scholar, and a hell of a guy. Abe, you're the best. Thank you, big dog. Let's do it again maybe mid-season or mid-off season because it's the off season now, buddy.
Yeah, it's tough to say already, but I appreciate the time as always. I just want to say best wishes and fingers crossed. We're thinking about everyone affected by Helene. We got very lucky here in Atlanta that it slid a little bit elsewhere, but obviously you guys bore the brunt of it, and we're doing a lot here at Odyssey Atlanta to help some people out, and I'm sure just everyone keep the faith, keep the hope up. Stay optimistic, and we'll all get through this together as humans.
You're a good man, Abe Gordon. Thank you very much. Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. When we come back, Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast. We talk a little Carolina Panther football next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Thank you, Mojo Jojo.
I don't talk myself through my own process.
And then I will push
struggle.
button, and then button after push will work for Rashad to be able to hear
Rashad?
and be on show.
What's up, big fella?
Can't hear you, Rashad.
Sorry about that. I muted myself.
There he is.
What's going on,
Oh,
guys?
there he
My
was.
bad.
You're good. What's up, fella? How you doing?
Good, good. How about you guys?
We're good, man. We're good.
No, we're not.
We have no.
we are not good.
great. We have no power. Neither one of us has power yet, so we're
really?
struggling.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. Sheesh.
It'll be a week tomorrow.
That's crazy, man.
How'd y'all make out up there? Everything all right?
Yeah, Charlotte is not bad, but obviously a couple hours west, not so good over there. So
yeah. I was gonna say we have it bad, but we don't have it as bad as they did. I mean, I had a ton of trees. I was trapped for a couple days. So yeah, I mean, but we're good. We're here.
Yep.
And we're allowed to come and hang out here all day if we need to, which we would have done anyway without permission, but it's good to have permission.
Right. That's all. That is awesome. That is awesome. Hope you guys get your power back soon.
They're working on it. We had the power crew finally show up in our neighborhood yesterday. They told us it'd be a couple of days before they could even start getting the lines back up because of the number of trees that are down there. It got weird here, like shockingly bad.
Yeah. Man.
We'll be all right. If all I got to do is go camping for a couple of nights, we'll be just fine.
He says weird. I was legitimately scared for my life. So, I mean, which doesn't happen very often. Watching, that's what you get for living around 40-foot trees, just watching them fall and thinking, okay, that next one's going to come through the house. I'm not as agile as I used to be. I'm probably about to be crushed, but
It's tough.
I've never experienced a hurricane before, and now I have, and I would rather not do that again.
Yeah, they come up through here quite often, but usually, by the time they get here, they're not that bad. This one was tough. It's kind of weird because we didn't catch the Category 4 part of it. Like that's the weird part. Like I don't know.
Marcus said had not had power for 6 days, and they said it'd probably be Saturday before you get it. Yeah, you're in Marion, North Carolina. We're in Greenville, and they told the guy yesterday told me that it would likely be Saturday morning at the earliest, but that it could be Sunday or Monday. So we're looking at probably 9 or 10 days without it.
I really wish I didn't live in the middle of the woods so I could have gas, so I could actually have hot water. Because cold showers, those cold plunge people are stupid. Cold showers suck. They really do. It's really rough for us who have long hair, Rashad, when you got to try to get all that out with the cold. It's not good.
Yeah, not fun.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate on Thursdays at 8:40 in the AM portion of the day. We take a trip up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and speak to our next guest. He is one half of the Panther Nation podcast. When I tell you it is your source for talk about the Carolina Panthers, I'm being deadly serious. Rashad sees me pop up in the stream every time he does a stream. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us here on the show. What's up, big dog?
What's going on, guys? All is well over here. All is well.
I'm glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Sounds like
can we get this out of the way? I mean, you're already getting comments on the jersey.
Ronzo made the assumption that you were going to come in here and put me on blast for rocking the sleeveless Bel Air Academy basketball jersey today, and I thought, no, Rashad's going to think this jersey is fire.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Bel Air jersey. Love the throwback. I like it. There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm not talking about the jersey.
It is the fact that
I'm talking about the guns
under
underneath
the jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge.
I'm gonna tell you. All right. I obviously before Helene came through, I was in the gym every day and I was jacked, but I got no power, so I turned into the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Swole got turned off.
Swole got turned off. All right, let's talk some Panther football, and let's start with the big news from the week. Shaq, done for the year, shut down with an injury after the L last weekend to Cincinnati. Rashad Beard. You know, like on one hand, I guess this is a point where you're like, I'm glad we kind of had low expectations, or else this would feel like a big blow. On the flip side, as even Dave Canales said yesterday talking about DaVante, which we'll come to here in just a minute, it is a development year. It is a year that you wanted to kind of have everybody moving in the right direction, upward trajectory, and losing a leader like Shaq is a big blow. What's this mean for Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously next man up. Fortunately, we did draft a linebacker, Trevin Wallace, who is going to get some opportunity to lead that defense. But yeah, for Shaq as an individual, man, it's tough. He had a season-ending injury earlier last year too. And so, man, the injuries are mounting up, and it's unfortunate for Shaq Thompson. And I hope he, gets well soon. I know a lot of the conversation on X has been around, the turf, and I don't know how. Again, I'm not a doctor, never claimed to be, nor will ever be one. But a lot of people are talking about the turf and how that, how that's impacting all the injuries and how we should go back to natural grass. And Shaq Thompson was one of the guys that was very, very vocal about playing on grass. So I wonder if that has anything to do with it, and would that impact us or impact Tepper in making a decision to go back to natural grass? Obviously it's a financial move and he's a businessman, but at the end of the day, man, you got guys going down and we got to do a study. Something's got to be done about these injuries because they're mounting up. Derek Brown we lost for, and the defense is just, it is what it is, man. You got to step up, but a lot of injuries that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, for sure. And the grass discussion is interesting because it's not just happening with active players. I know the Kelsey brothers have talked about it on their podcast. I think Mike Irvin talked about it on his podcast. I think Ocho Cinco talked about it on his podcast. Like I've heard it being discussed. So if this ends up being connected to it, and I'm sure Shaq is well, I don't want to assume. I would think Shaq may, if he believes it was turf connected, we're gonna hear about that because of what you said. He has been vocal about it, but like you said, he is a businessman. At the end of the day, it's not just the Panthers that play there. He's got the soccer team he's got to consider, as well as all the other events that run through that venue. So we'll find out. Speaking of that Deontay Johnson story, right? Kansas City loses Rashee Rice. Adam Schefter the next day is like, hey, Deontay, Adam Thielen could both be on the table. Deontay has said already that he is focused on the Panthers. And the reports are that he said within his circle that he actually hopes to be extended by the Panthers and stay in Charlotte, which makes sense, right? Like they rolled the dice on this cat. They said, you're our number one. We want to make you a number one. A lot of teams, I think, would try to make DaVante a number 2 wide receiver. But Dave Canales came out yesterday, said, hey, look, we're focused on development. He's a big part of the offense. I don't see that trade happening. Where do you think we stand on all of that?
Yeah, I certainly hope we don't trade Diontae Johnson. He's been a breath of fresh air. We haven't had a wide receiver of his stature since DJ Moore, and we obviously traded DJ Moore away, leaving us with literally no weapons. So Diontae has been, over these past couple of games, when he's had Andy Dalton throwing to him, it has been very, very good. I mean, he's got a lot of yards. I see averaging probably just over 100 yards per game. Got a couple touchdowns. He's playing well. He's exactly what we expect. A couple of drops last game, but they were tough catches. But, obviously, we'll hope to see some improvement there. But, man, I mean, for a team that has not had a number one wide receiver here in a long time, Diontae Johnson is definitely a breath of fresh air. And we got to kind of start getting away from letting all our good guys walk. You got to start to develop something and keeping those guys around. So Diontae, I hope he stays. Is, again, really good wide receiver, and I hope he stays around for sure.
I would say the same thing. In fact, if anything, I'd say if there's a receiver getting moved, it's probably Adam Thielen. I think Thielen, last year, the contract, I think a dude that, while as talented as he is, he's a slot receiver. I would say respectfully, because I like Adam Thielen a lot, a little bit more replaceable than Diontae Johnson is, at least where you stand right now.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. Adam Thielen, especially at his age, getting a little bit older, want to ship him off to a contender, let him kind of sail off to paradise with the ring somewhere. So if we're going to trade anybody, I would do Adam Thielen a favor. And obviously, we can talk about Xavier Legette. He's definitely stepped up in Adam Thielen's absence. So certainly didn't really miss Thielen much. Obviously, there's a couple situations where we had some drops by Mingo, a couple drops by XL. Probably would not have been dropped by Adam Thielen, but those guys are going to continue to develop, and I think we're going to be okay moving forward.
So obviously the big conversation now, Bryce Young takes a back seat. In comes the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. He gets a win in week 1, very competitive against the Bengals in week 2. We had the conversation earlier this week, and I'll kind of leave this one open-ended for you to address however you want, Rashad. I've said already, Bryce Young looks bad. Andy Dalton came in, showed at least a little bit more what looks possible with a quarterback who understands. Yes, it is on Bryce Young to develop and get better. I've also said when I look at Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, some of these other guys, I think you have to put some of, not all, let me be clear, not all, but some of the blame of the failure of development of Bryce Young on the Carolina Panthers as well. It's just an ugly situation. A, do we see Bryce Young back on the field again this year for the Carolina Panthers? And B, do you have any belief in all the discussion going around that Bryce Young might be on the trading block if Dave Canales really does want to say, this ain't my guy?
Man, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to be honest. This is why I came on the show prior to Andy Dalton starting and said I didn't think it would happen. I was certainly wrong because later that day, they announced that they were going to start Andy Dalton. It was literally the same day. So this is why I question that, right? If you think of it from a long-term perspective, it doesn't make much sense because if this is so quote unquote a development year, as you say, then why not let Bryce Young kind of just play it out? But I also get it in that you got a team to keep happy, right? You got mouths to feed. Diontae Johnson, those receivers, those offensive linemen are taking a lot of blame for Bryce Young's play, right? Our whole supporting cast for offensive linemen and wide receivers taking all the blame, right? We don't have an offensive line. We don't have a wide receiver. Wide receivers aren't getting separation. And clearly that was not the case, right? We have one of the probably the top 3 offensive line in the NFL. So it's not an offensive line issue. We have weapons. Diontae Johnson's playing. You know what I mean? These guys are playing well. So it's not an issue with talent. We have talent. So Bryce Young definitely he regressed under Canales, which is not expected. I don't know what we're going to do moving forward. I don't see any circumstance where Bryce Young gets the position back unless there's an injury to Andy Dalton. And so it's just unfortunate. I don't know where we go. I don't see him getting traded either. I just think he kind of sticks around.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I was watching your stream that day in the chat, and I had said earlier in that morning on my show as well. Like, to me, if this is a development year, sitting Bryce Young doesn't make sense unless, and even if you do want to trade him, like, why would you not put him out there and unless you truly believe he's just bad and you're trying to hide him until you can ship him off somewhere else, it doesn't make sense to me because, and you said this, I had already said it on the show, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, if you go out there and win 3 games, all you're doing is costing yourself a draft pick. And if Bryce Young's not your guy, you're going QB1, even if it is a thin draft class at QB, which I think we both agree that it is this year. If you're going quarterback, I want to be as high as possible. So playing Andy Dalton and picking up 2 or 3 wins, I don't understand what it helps. Even though you got to win and you were competitive against Cincinnati, I don't think you're making a run for a division. You're like plus 3,200 to win it, even with the performance the last couple of weeks. Even though you looked more competitive, like my immediate response was, yay, so what?
I mean, yeah, I got to be honest, though. It does feel good to be somewhat competitive. I can tell you this, just the energy in the stadium was much better. Even throughout that game, we were down 2 touchdowns. But, man, it felt like we were in the game. So that feeling, I got to be honest, that feeling is good. But when you look at the future, like you're saying, it doesn't make much sense. And maybe there's a scenario where we continue to go with veteran quarterbacks. You brought up, Baker Mayfield and Geno and these guys. Maybe the Canales magic only works with veterans. Maybe he can't develop rookies. So we don't know that. I have no idea. Maybe in the future we continue to go with the veteran quarterback route. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm in wait and see mode. I don't have any reason to doubt the Canales way and the Dan Morgan way just yet. We're waiting to see. But as of right now, I think Andy Dalton is the right choice. If we're talking about trying to win games right now, Andy Dalton is the right choice. He gives us an opportunity. He's going to keep us in the games. He's going to at least make the offense look respectable. And that's all we can ask for right now. You know what I mean? That's all I got.
I think you also mentioned something that was exciting to see was they were happy and they were having fun. I mean, on the sidelines and out on the field, I mean, that's something that hasn't been there for the Panthers.
Yeah, the
in
energy
a while.
wasn't just different in the stands. It was different on the sideline too.
Yeah, completely different. I mean, I've never seen so many Panthers fans in my section. So I know Andy Dalton at least brought that to the table, right? There's something, there's a little bit of hope, and you can see it. The energy is everywhere. It's up everywhere. The locker room, there's a complete shift in the energy levels on both sides of the stands and in the locker room.
Bad news for everybody who didn't buy tickets early. Ticket prices are going up now. You had that chance to get them while they were cheap,
right?
Oh no, they're more than that.
They're $5. I do want to, I like giving credit where credit is due. I got it. This is a good take. Made 4 more in the chat said Canales needed to show that his scheme actually works and it was a personnel issue. That's pretty good. Cool Kev came in and said the same thing. Now you can evaluate the talent around the quarterback with Andy. And I actually like that take, Rashad. Like, to me, with Bryce Young in development mode, you did kind of have to scale back a little bit. Now with Andy Dalton, even if he's not as good as having a Pro Bowl quarterback is going to be, it allows Canales to really show that offense and his scheme is capable. And in 2 weeks, it certainly has looked that way. I think that's a really good take.
Yeah, and I agree with it. I mean, it's the proof is in the pudding, right? Everybody's looking. The offensive line has been playing well. And they were getting a lot of flack. They were getting a lot of flack for these sacks that they were, quote unquote, giving up when in all reality, they weren't. It's just Bryce Young was holding on to the football too long and it didn't have the pocket presence to step up and make a throw. So Andy Dalton is making concise decisions with the football and the scheme is working. I would agree with that take wholeheartedly. Yep.
Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joins us every single Thursday, at 8:40 to talk Carolina Panther football with us. Rashad, as we get set up for this weekend, what do we want to see out of Carolina this weekend on the road at Chicago? You got DJ Moore over there. You got Caleb Williams, the guy that was used with the Bryce Young pick. There's a little, I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things, but a little emotional investment in this game. What are we thinking?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a big game for Bryce Young. This was supposed to be the game that Bryce Young was supposed to show, hey, man, the Panthers got it right. They traded for me and all the assets that went to the Chicago Bears. Man, that doesn't matter. I'm still the guy. This was supposed to be that game. unfortunately, a little bit of, luster has been taken away from that. But at the end of the day, you want to see the defense step up. The defense has lost some guys. You want to see Trevor Wallace take that step, become that middle linebacker of the future, right? The cornerbacks are going to be tested. The wide receivers of the Chicago Bears are really talented. DJ Moore is always going to be looking to get that get back for his former team in the Carolina Panthers. So it's going to be a good game. Just all eyes are on the defense. We've seen the offense progress. I trust the offense. Chuba Hubbard's playing well. Deontay Johnson's playing well. I don't see too many situations where it's going to be a complete shootout. I think we can slow down Caleb Williams in that offense. I think we're going to be fine. I think this is certainly a winnable game. I think every game is going to be at least competitive with Andy Dalton at the helm.
Rashad Beard hosts the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to their YouTube channel, Panther Nation Podcast. Click that subscribe button. Hit that little alarm bell because Rashad goes live all the damn time. Big dog, appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
Yep, appreciate you guys, man. Always fun.
My pleasure. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast, Hayden Ass Mario from the BetQL Network joins us in the next segment to talk about the rest of the storylines around the NFL Network. That is all after Lonzo seduces you with this sports flash.
Gotta admit, it's hard because my pictures was just
Our
on the window.
faces are on the building.
Yeah, this is weird. The season is over for the Atlanta Braves, who were swept out of the wild card round after a 5-4 defeat last night. Max Fried was yanked after just 2 innings, surrendering 8 hits and all 5 runs through 6 outs. Michael Harris, the second, had a 2-run homer in the 8th to bring the Braves within 1, but were unable to finish the job in the 9th. Atlanta finishes with an 89-73 record. In other Major League Baseball playoff games, the Detroit Tigers swept the Houston Astros 5-2. The Kansas City Royals knocked off the Baltimore Orioles 2-1. That'll make the boss happy. And the Milwaukee Brewers completed a comeback win over the Mets 5-3 to force the only deciding Game 3 tonight. Tune in to Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Citadel Bulldogs. It's Furman versus Citadel right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, Upstate. If you guys are wondering why I keep looking out the window, we're on the 2nd floor, but they're wrapping the building, which means they're putting some stuff on the windows. And it's weird to look out and see someone just standing outside your window when you're on the 2nd floor. I think people who work in high rises are probably used to it because, there's people out there washing the windows. Yeah, different here. And our picture is on the window. And we can't see it now, but they had like the peel off part. So I feel like for the first time in 24 years, I'm not invisible. I feel like I can go out and look, and my picture's on the window. It's as close to a billboard as we'll ever get. I gotta admit, don't tell Rob, cried just a little bit, just a little bit. One tear out of each eye. That's it. But still. Ooh, dude just brought out a torch. Looks like a torch. Hopefully Rob will be back in the building and just, or in the, I bet he ran outside to look. No, I can't do that, man. I can't. Like I was just saying, I cried just a little bit because it's 24 years and my picture's on the window, dude.
I put our faces on the window. It's big too.
It also means that Cole and Diesel are going to be up there, but you know. And obviously they didn't tell us.
Away we go for hour number 4. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show is live. Welcome back, Rob and the great one, Alonzo with you. Listen, we're coming to Hate and Ask Mario here in just a second, but we have to talk about this for 30 seconds. They're redoing the windows here at the Palatial Fan Upstate Studios, really the whole building. And one of the things they're doing is they're putting vinyl screen prints across the windows as advertisement A, and to keep the studios a little cooler in here. It's like the shade that it's see-through on our side, but there's an image on the other side. Well, the one that they just put up is a giant banner with me and Lonzo's heads on it.
Yeah, dude,
Lonzo, your head's big, but it's never been this big before.
I don't know. I think it might be actual size. Nearly 30 years in radio, nearly 25 years at this company, and however long we've been here in this building, like 22. You always think about seeing yourself up on a billboard. This is as close as I'm going to get.
Close. It's pretty close,
but it's really big, and you're going to see it from the road. And I, like I just said on the stream, cried just a little bit because now I can go out and take a picture and say, "See, Mom, I told you." I mean, you feel like you actually made it.
Not gonna lie, I may have already gone out and taken a picture.
Yeah, I knew. Mario can attest.
What do you want? Now
I said he's not here because you went outside to take a picture.
Now my actual head is as big as my metaphorical head. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the building.
Still,
all right?
Still won't match the guns, though.
That's also true. Hey, Nas Mario from the BetQL Network, a.k.a. Mario Heron, executive producer of BetMGM tonight, which you can hear on this fine station and Odyssey stations everywhere from 7 until 11 p.m. Joins us now on the stream to talk some NFL and whatever the hell else we want to get into. I'm struggling right now.
No, he's not. This is cool, dude. It really is.
It's pretty rad.
It's hard to formulate sentences when you know your face is on the side of the building.
What up, Mario?
I can't believe I'm in the same, stream as two legends right now. Wow. There you go. That looks good. That's 2 great photos of you guys. Is that? Oh, that's okay. At first, I thought that was Rob Brown just staring at himself in that photo.
No, that's actually the guy that's putting it up. That man has not just Mario, a 2-part, not just an immaculate.
By the way,
beard.
real quick, I have to self-report. I turned my mic on. I spoke without my mic on, and you didn't see it. I did.
1-1.
I can't do
I respect the honor. Not only does this man have an immaculate beard, but this is weird to me. A New Orleans Pelicans hat adorned on top of the noggin, putting the work up today.
He must be a listener.
I'm telling you. He's obviously putting that up.
He has not paid attention to us at all.
Not once.
I've tried to make some eye contact, and
not once.
it's not happening.
All right, big dog. Let's talk. No. What were you going to say?
No, I was gonna say there's nothing worse than when you're trying to make eye contact with someone and you can't do it, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna give up on this.
AKA
right now.
Mario's whole dating life.
Okay, that was a layup for you. I laid
Yes, it
that
was
up for you. So
yes, it was.
You know who can't
Move
do a
on.
layup? The guy who's wearing a basketball jersey.
Listen, you're trying
Bro.
so hard to get people to knock the jersey.
Well, yes, I am.
It's not going to work. It's a dope jersey.
It's because the jersey's taken away from the fact that you're wearing it.
It's also good that it's a real jersey from a real sports.
It is a real jersey. The Bel Air Academy, a.k.a. the Fresh Prince, baby. It's untouchable. I need you to know, Mario, here's what happened. Rob Brown was driving into work this morning. Rob Brown was drinking a drink. A car cut Rob Brown off. Rob Brown dumped a half a barrel of Monster Energy drink down the front of his shirt on the way into work because somebody cut me off. This is all I had in the car, so I rolled with it. And when I started the show, I was like, oh, man, like I've got to wear no sleeves on the stream. This is like Mario caliber of bad decision making. And all that's happened is everybody who's seen it has been like, dope, love it.
Wow. I mean, it's not a bad jersey to rock. There's worse jerseys, but like it does. I'm not gonna lie. The sleeveless on a stream, it's a move.
It is a move. It is, and I need you to know I have gone from 6 a.m. till 9:07 and 6 seconds a.m. with. I think the jerseys might go back into the rotation now.
No, please don't.
I think that might be a thing now.
Do that.
I don't. I mean, you know, it's probably like a one-shot deal.
I think both of y'all can shut up, is what I think. All right, let's talk some football, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with this whole DaVante Adams thing, Mario. The Raiders say 2 days ago that they are looking at trading him. We never officially heard DaVante say he wanted, asked for, demanded, requested a trade, though the reports are that he did. And that's where this whole thing started from. The Saints and the Jets are on DaVante's wish list. I don't think I mean, I'd love him in New Orleans. I don't think the Saints have the capital or desire to make it happen. I think New York is a much better possible landing spot. But what do you make of this whole situation, and where's DaVante suiting up next?
I think it's just all points towards the New York Jets. We're seeing reported yesterday that a lot of teams that, you know, called and checked in on Adams, the asking price, etc. The repeated thing that she kept getting back was everyone's like, yeah, it's the Jets. It's the Jets deal. That's the direction it's going in. I think the Saints would be like the second option there because of Derek Carr, and the receiver coach over at New Orleans is like a mentor to DaVante Adams. So two deep connections there. We obviously saw him go leave Green Bay and go to Las Vegas for Derek Carr. The love affair they have between each other is absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't know what they went through in college that just bounded them together forever, but it must have been something, you know, fantastic, because I'll never understand that. But I think it's going to New York Jets. And if I'm DaVante Adams, or I just don't really, you know why he would want to go to New York. You're going from one disaster to another disaster. So I don't know what you're really thinking there, Bubba. I'd probably push like Buffalo, or like, you know, a team that's actually going to be real. And, you know, in the next coming months, instead of a team that's having a head coach and their star quarterback fight in between press conferences about the cadence for the team.
The cadence. I love the when your boy comes into the room and you're like, hey, how's everything at home? And they're like, it's great. Everything's great. We're fine. No, you're not. We know you're not. The fact that Rodgers has been on TV and podcasts the last 2 days, like, no, me and Robert Saleh, we're great friends. Our relationship's great. It's like, bro, you trying to convince me or yourself, big dog? It's ugly, dude.
Come on. Like you and I don't act like that with each other.
Yeah, and there are days we want to punch each other in the parking lot.
Well, why wait for the parking lot?
Exactly. Just do it in between breaks. The thing that people forget too is, I think it was week 1 or week 2. They scored a touchdown and Rodgers like comes off the field.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, tries to like dab him up, and Rodgers like, you know, pushes him away and tells him, you know, shut up or whatever, like calm down. Like, this is an uncomfortable relationship that they clearly do not, you know, get along at all. And what, Nathaniel Hackett's the person that's the in-betweener for them?
Yeah, it's real not good. It's real not good. We'll see what happens with the DaVante Adams story. Talk to me about another team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, shockingly, the last winless team in the National Football League. I had a moment this past Sunday, Hayton asked Mario, watching that game Trevor Lawrence missed Brian Marshall, the new wide receiver at LSU, phenomenal wide receiver, was open every passing play they ran, and Trevor was just missing the dude. Granted, he was under attack a lot of the game. I think the Jags offensive line may be a little bit overrated coming into the year, but I had my first moment on Sunday, Mario, where I thought maybe Trevor Lawrence ain't the guy. Maybe the Jags got this one wrong. Is it him, or is he going to be another guy that much like Darnold, Baker Mayfield, etc., you can kind of go, is it him or is it the franchise a little bit? Because it kind of feels like maybe it's the franchise a little bit.
I'll just say this. Is it the franchise? Like, really, is it? Because they've kind of constantly surrounded him and given him, I would say, decent weapons. And, like, yet we're still here. Like, last year, everyone was like, they have a chance to have the best record in the NFL. They have a chance to absolutely just take out the division in the NFC South. Everyone was so sure that was going to happen. Next thing you know, here come the Colts. Shane Steichen turns around that program with the backup QB the whole year. CJ Stroud was clearly the best quarterback in the draft class, and he shows it. And then we go to this year where it's like, okay, they draft Brian Thomas, they get Gabriel Davis, they lose Calvin Ridley, and that stinks. But they clearly, reloaded a little bit on their weapons. It's another year of Trevor Lawrence in his system. And then we constantly think back to, hey, remember when they came back and beat the Chargers in the playoffs, and then they almost beat the Chiefs in the next round? We get hung up on that way too much. And I think that's tricked us all these past 2 years into just realizing that Trevor Lawrence is just simply not that good. I don't see it with him. I haven't since he came into the league. I know he had Urban Meyer, and that really put a huge pause on his development. But even with Doug Peterson, who is a Super Bowl winning head coach, he just doesn't seem like he's really taken the next step and has really been in the next category of quarterbacks that can, really lead your team into being a Super Bowl contender, to the AFC Championship, to winning your division. It just doesn't seem like he's that guy. And the good news for the Jaguars fans is that you guys just extended him to a 5-year, $275 million deal. So he's truly not going anywhere. So I don't think it's going to get better for him at all. It's really good that your head coach, too, is not acknowledging that he's on the hot seat. That always goes great, guys. Every time a coach does that, it always ends great. So here's the good news, Jacksonville. And again, I'm going to say this for probably the 1,000th time in my life. I don't know how the hell we have a team in Jacksonville, but that's besides the point. It's going to be okay. Your coach is doing fine. Your QB that doesn't look that great right now is already extended, and you have him through the 2030 season. And don't worry, in 2030, it is a base salary of $53 million. And hey, with the way the dollar is going up, that could be like $5 by then.
Here's the good news.
On the bright side.
By then, they'll be the London Jags, because I at this point, I am just thoroughly convinced the goal is sabotage everything so Shad Khan can move that team to London. I don't know, man. I look at Trevor, and you see the flashes, right? They're there. Every now and then he hits one, and you're like, bang, there it is. But it's every now and then. I just look at this team, and by the way, yes, Jacksonville is the butthole of America. I agree. I don't know why you'd want to put a football team there, but hey, not my decision, not my call. I just feel like there's a reason this team is this bad, and it ain't talent and it ain't personnel. Is it Trevor Lawrence? Did Philly make the right call in ejecting Doug Peterson? Is Press a bad OC? I don't know which one it is. Any one of them could be the reason.
I think that's it. Anyone could be the reason, and something has to change. It clearly, this is not working. And time is kind of against them right now, because the Texans are figuring it out. Well, not figuring it out. They haven't figured it out. They're in a win now mode, and they're clearly going to be the team to beat in that division for years to come. If Anthony Richardson can learn how to throw a ball between 5 to 10 yards, he's going to be really good and can stay on the field. And Shane Steichen's clearly a very good coach for the Indianapolis Colts. And that defense, by the way, is actually sneaky, not as bad as people think it is. Titans, Will Levis isn't it, but I think Callahan's actually a better coach than we give him credit for. And I think if he just kind of gets the right pieces there in Tennessee, aka an actual good quarterback, I think not good, but can be sneaky good. Can sneaky piss you off in games and take you down to the wire. So time is against them, and it's not going to get any easy. Life's not going to get any easier for them. So they got to figure out quickly who the problem is and what the issue is, and try to fix it. Because the other thing that doesn't go for him too, Rob, is that they are not a destination spot either. So no free agent's going to go, God, I want to go to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, really, the best argument they have is no state income tax. The counter to that is you have to live in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
All right, last one before we let you go. My preseason prick to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year was Jaden Daniels. Yeah, nailed it. That dude's real good.
Good for you. No, yeah, good for you. Okay, but also, I got an argument about this over the weekend. Just because Jaden Daniels is exceptional right now, and he is exceptional, does not mean that Caleb Williams is bad.
No, listen, I totally agree with that too. Just so we're clear, I agree. Let me be clear. My thought on Caleb Williams.
By the way, really quick, he could still be bad though. One may not mean the other.
No, he could still be, but there's been increase, he's looked better and better every single week. But it's just his jump hasn't been from throwing for 120 passing yards to 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 25 for 30. It hasn't been this insane game where we watch the highlight reels for 4 days straight, but it's been, steadily increased like a normal rookie does. Let's just, be patient with the guys that it doesn't happen right away. Mahomes sat out a year. Josh Allen took a minute. That guy's rookie year, he was not good. So let's be patient.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with all of that. I think Jaden Daniels is very good. And the problem you're going to bump into is because of the fact that Caleb Williams was labeled the Windy City Savior before he stepped foot in Chicago for the first time. The expectations on him were higher than Jaden. So when Jaden hits that mark, the expectations are Caleb should be better than that. And the reality is, unless you were listening to me preseason when I said Jaden Daniels is a once-in-a-generation player, he is the clear once-in-a-generation player. That doesn't mean Caleb Williams is bad or good at this point. I don't think we have a sample size. 4 touchdown drives he led last week looked a lot more Caleb Williams-like. We'll see if that trend continues. I just really wanted to further pat myself on the back for knowing ball, Mario. That's all.
No, yeah, pat yourself on the back. I thought you were right if it helped at the time, pat yourself on the back, but it's a long season.
It is. A lot of football left to play. Hating ass Mario Herron from the BetQL Network joins us every Thursday at 9 o'clock to talk National Football League football. He will again next week now that life's gone back-ish to normal. We still don't have power. It's very aggravating. Hating ass Mario,
stinks.
You're the man. Thanks for coming, big dog.
Happy you're doing okay, and happy you're safe after the hurricane.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I was thinking about it yesterday. No power in South Carolina. Real good time to come up to Washington, D.C. for a couple of days.
As long as you don't bring a tattoo and don't wear a basketball jersey, you're more than welcome.
And there's the fact that he has no more days off. So
there's also that little wrinkle in the game. We'll see. Big fella, talk to you next week.
See you guys. Thank you.
Hating ass Mario Herron, he is the executive producer.
Real quick. He's struggling putting up the Diesel and Cole picture. It just keeps falling off. And I think it's because every time he puts up, Diesel is staring right at him and he can't take the intensity. He's having trouble putting it up on the window.
Oh, hating ass Mario from the BetQL Network. You can hear him and Ryan Horvath and Brad Evans every single weekday night from 7 to 11 right here on the Fan Upstate. You can also hear Fight Club with Lonzo when we come back right here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I'm buying that hat. I really like that hat.
Can't wait to go out and take a picture of it and send it to my entire family. I'm waiting until dude is done, though, because I don't want him in my shot.
Well, ours is done.
Yeah, but he's still in the shot.
That's true. Be right back, guys. friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is up? Fully expected that the Fight Club intro was going to play here, to be honest with you.
You're right, and it should, but I'm still I gotta admit, I meant to put it in there, and I realized it wasn't in there. And then I was busy looking at the window.
Lonzo got it. Let me tell you, people, what happened during the break, and then we'll play Fight Club's intro, and then we'll do Fight Club. During the Rashad Beard interview, they're putting a new vinyl wrap on the outside of the building. You know, we got big windows, advertise on them, why not? And the first thing that they put up outside our studio here was a big vinyl with me and Lonzo's pictures on it. You know, the cool one that we run on the stream is in a waste screen here. This one. That picture up on the vinyl. You know what Lonzo says during the break? After the bosses put his and my big ass heads up on the screen, Lonzo says,
really gonna do
yes, because if I did, you'd do the same damn thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Lonzo says during the break, you know, I really hope they put my head over on the ORD windows too. Like his giant noggin postered on the side of the building for everyone on Garlington and Woodruff to see isn't enough. He wants another one. I want another my picture on a building size billboard. So I was like, I'd like another one, please. That's not enough me on the windows.
I just want bookends. I mean, it would look better. I mean, you got me on one side, you got me on the other side. You know,
Unbelievable.
That hurt.
Do the thing.
Don't think he's good enough to beat me.
My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants. I'm a bad man.
Yeah, as James just said on the stream, Lonzo going into business for himself.
I'm telling you, man.
Hey, man, you know.
Lonzo screwed Lonzo.
Well, did I?
I don't know. You get your head on the building.
Yeah,
You're doing something right.
I mean, when are we going to get the opportunity to go? Yeah, but my face is on the building. When are we going to get the chance to say that? I don't know.
I already.
I don't know.
I already posted a picture of it on Twitter.
Well, I know. It's just like, hey, man, get out of my way. Why? My building, right there. Look, there you go. All right, time to get into the Fight Club. Before we get into WWE Bad Blood, which happens this Saturday, let's talk about AEW a little bit. AEW just made a major deal with Max. They are now going to simulcast Dynamite and Collision on Max, and pay-per-views are going to be on Max, but you're still going to have to pay for them at supposedly a discounted price.
I'm good with it, honestly. I mean, I think this situation feels to me like it is a realization, and I could be wrong, I could be overthinking, but it feels to me like this is a realization by AEW of where they stand in the pecking order. And that's not a bad thing. You're up against a company that's been in existence for 1,000 years at this point, and you're still, even though you're 5 years old, in the grand scheme of things, you're new. You're still the new guys on the block. So to accept this deal that gives you a bunch of money, even if it's not anywhere close to what WWE is doing, I think it is an acceptance. And the only way to grow is to realize where and what you are and plan from there. If you plan from idealism instead of for idealism, you're going to fail. So I think this is a good move.
I'm curious about, I mean, if they discount at half price, I think that would be cool. But they only take $10 off. I mean, I'm glad that it's simulcast because I still have power. Rob, don't have power. Neither does Rob. So last night I downloaded the TBS app and tried to play Dynamite on the TBS app. Made it through one match. Then it kept skipping back, and then the audio didn't play over the video. It was weird. And it could be a matter of internet with what's going on with the internet right now. I don't know, but the app did not work real well.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I didn't know there was a TNT app until you talked about it this morning. So this, again, the hope here, if you're AEW, and actually I'd assume one of the selling points was likely that TBS was like, look, we're going to put you on the app, and we're also going to utilize this as a reason to upgrade the app. So I'll tell you right now, like, as somebody who comes in, and Lonzo can attest, the overwhelming majority of the professional wrestling I watch is recorded off of a stream the next morning after the show, so I can skip past the commercials. Apps are brilliant for that, and I am much more likely to watch the commercials if I can watch it wherever I am with the stream in real time. Instead of having to be sitting in front of a TV, especially when you're talking about 2, 3, 4 hour shows, with the exception of pay-per-views. I think it's a good deal for AEW all around.
Max is one of those apps and one of those sites like Netflix that a lot of people have. And in some cases, it comes with whatever TV or whatever they bought. All right, one more thing. Well, two more things in the AEW. MVP and now Shelton Benjamin are in AEW, and they're going after Prince Nana. Will Bobby Lashley show up? Will Swerve join or be targeted by the new Hurt Business?
Yes.
Oh, they're going at Nana.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love it. And again, first off, Prince Nana is the best, just the best.
He said last night, I used to be a wrestler, and he was going at MVP, and then MVP introduced Shelton Benjamin, and then Shelton Benjamin took his coffee.
It's the best.
And drink it.
I love him. And also, by the way, you know what the biggest hope that I have for Shelton Benjamin is that he finally gets the run that so many of us have thought he should have had for years. When the Hurt Business came into play in WWE, they were organically way up, like way over. Like, we loved the Hurt Business as a fan base. And then it just kind of stopped. And I don't think we ever really got a valid explanation as to why the Hurt Business was given up on. There was thoughts it was because they knew Lashley was eventually going to leave. But the reality is, this was a year and a half, 2 years before his contract was up, so I didn't get it. If AEW has an opportunity, provided they don't do what they've done with so many other WWE characters, and that is bring over one that's really hot, give them 2-3 months in the sun, and let them go. With the difference being, like, for instance, Mercedes Moné, I'm sorry, has been boring since she showed up at AEW.
Yeah, she still is.
Shelton Benjamin and the Hurt Business were organically to the moon when it was broken up.
All right. The problem I have with that is there are other factions that they could do stuff with in AEW, and they haven't. Now the BCC, especially the new BCC, they're doing stuff because I think if there are major stars in the thing, like anything Jericho does, they're going to push it. But like House of Black, I mean, that should be the most dominant faction in all of AEW, and you see them every once in a while. So I'm worried that they'll be that's who they'll go at. It'd be them, which would be some awesome matches, and then they'll both fade away into the background or end up on ROH.
I completely agree. Now, that being said, you heard the pop for Shelton Benjamin.
Oh yeah,
screen.
Oh for sure.
Like,
for sure.
this is one
but
that
they
I
teased
will say,
it. They teased it like it was going to be Lashley, which was well done.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone thought it was going to be Lashley, and it was Shelton Benjamin.
For sure. I would say overall that when it comes down to it, AEW has the opportunity to do something extremely special here. And here's the thing. They don't have to do anything. We want you guys to do exactly what you were doing over there. I don't want I want the same logo. I want the same look. It's gold. It's everything.
Without restraints.
Without restraints. Yeah. I want you to do, you know what I want you to do? I want you to be a faction worthy of being called the Hurt Business. I just want that out of you. And if they do that and just let them be what they were, this is going to go to the moon.
I do wonder if WWE owns that name. It probably do. It's so they'll probably call themselves something else, as long as it's not something lame like CEO.
I don't even hate that. It's just like, if you're going to do that, you've got to carry some Riz with you. And Mercedes Moné just has also, this window's going to suck for that.
Yeah,
guy.
That's what I was going to say. That pole's
sucks.
in the way, and who knows what they're putting back there.
That's going to be the station logo, right? We got Rob Brown and Alonzo. We got Cole and Diesel, and that's going to be the station logo.
You're just going to see the F in the end.
Effing? The effing fan upstate.
Yeah, there we go. All right, one last thing for AEW. Last night, Jericho said to Mark Briscoe, "You can't beat me. Maybe your brother could."
Yeah, he said you'll never be as good as your brother was.
Yeah. So, first of all, Christian should be pretty angry. Although
Gimmick infringement.
It's a brother, not a dad.
Yeah,
so I mean, is that too far? I mean, it's been a couple years, I believe. So, but still, is that too far?
No, I mean, listen, this is one of those things. I think there's time and place for professional wrestling to be funny. I think there's time and place for it to be dramatic. I think there's time and place for it to be dark. And I think there's time and place for it to be very over the top. And I think this is one of those spots that it's over the top. But the way I've always looked at it is, if the dude, not the character, if the person, if the actor, if the person portraying the character is good with it, then go for it, right? Like if you say anything's game and it makes it entertaining, have at it. I'm good with that. This is why so many of our favorite rivalries have all been based in reality, right? It's been John Cena telling Roman Reigns, "Hey, if you want to be a star kid, you got to learn how to do a promo." Like that was heat to the moon. Obviously, this is about a dead relative, which kind of it hits most of us, because while most of us will never understand what it's like to be asked to carry an entire company on our back unless your face is plastered on the side of the place that you work. You like that?
No, I was nodding that we were right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Then the reality is, all of us can understand the pain of having somebody knock the memory of a deceased loved one. So now it's like, oh, hooks in, I'm invested. I absolutely love it, even if it is gimmick infringement.
Hi guys. All right, let's get to WWE.
You know what? Real quick, I'm real glad that they put the logo, because if they would have put either one of our faces behind this poll, do you understand the bleep storm that would have followed it?
No, because it would have been me. So, but that's
it. Totally would have been you. It totally would have been you,
and it would have just. It would have been funny and also would have hurt
your
really bad.
Persecution complex would have gone to the moon if they put your face behind the pole.
Yes, it would have.
You would have turned into the Wilson from Home Improvement of the station.
I would go out and just throw eggs at it or something. I don't know. Not saying that you should do that, okay? But if you do, aim at Cole and Diesel, not
Please.
us. All right. WWE Bad Blood happens this Saturday at 6 p.m. Why is it on earlier? Well, because the company also owns UFC, and there's UFC pay-per-view that comes on at 10. So this thing's going to end by 10, so it can go right in. And I think it's a good move. Although if you have Peacock, you don't have to buy that. Then you can buy the UFC. So you go right into that's a lot of combat sports, if you will, all in a row. All right. The first match that we're going to pick, WWE Women's Championship match between Nia Jax, who's the current champ, and Bayley.
I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I haven't watched wrestling in a very long time, so I'm doing this blind. I am going to go Nia Jax retains.
As am I, but it's cash in time. I mean, she's got to do it.
What time?
It's Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy time.
You should look at her latest
Toodles
TikTok that showed up on my ex, where she's being flipped by her boyfriend. It's so cute. All right, the next match.
By the way, there's a show in town next week.
Oh, that's right. SmackDown going to be here next Friday night.
And they usually send us at least one title holder.
They do.
And I'm just saying, if it's Tiffy time,
I'll handle the interview.
No, you won't. No, the hell you will not, son.
Because you're acting like you're just going to ogle.
So
never said the word.
Tiffy. I'm going to tell you straight up right now. Tiffy time comes on this show. I'm coming in neon pink, top to bottom. Top to bottom.
And he's going to go, hey, you see my picture out on the side of the building?
Tiffy, look, that's me.
Right over there. Yeah, that's me. All right, Damian Priest versus Finn Balor again. Or for the first time, I don't know. There's been so much fighting between them, and I know you love the Terror Twins. I don't. But friend of the show, Damian Priest, needs to break away from his twin and be his own dude and get the championship back. We know there's going to be interference. I don't know who's going to win this, but I'm going to pick a friend of the show and go with Damian Priest.
Terror Twins powers activate.
See, that's why I don't like it. I mean, I
just don't like Rhea.
I liked the Wonder Twins when I was a kid. Okay, I did. I can't picture them turning into this.
They already are this.
I'm offended for the Wonder Twins. All right, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Damian Priest retains. Wins.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have anything anymore.
Sorry,
but
wins.
But it's okay. All right, Women's World Championship between Liv Morgan and
You see what my point?
Rie. I can't pronounce the name. But anyway, she's wrestling against some goth girl who didn't be a goth girl, who's now, like going from guy to guy. It's almost like it's back into the Vince era. It's sad. But Liv Morgan versus Rie.
Going from guy to guy, Dom, the dirty convict that he is,
I can't go back.
Left her from some lady who won him over by just flashing her booty on the television, and you think Rhea is the one going guy to guy? You hate her.
It was a wise choice, Dom, and but him saying he can't go back because he's going to be hung in a shark cage.
So good. It's so dumb and
so
good.
Stupid.
I love it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Wow,
There's plenty of room for dumb things in wrestling.
All right, that Ree person gets her belt back.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I'm not picking against mommy. Come on.
The only way that this doesn't go the way that we're picking is if Charlotte happens to come back, because she's been a lot of videos of her.
Yeah. And on top of that, yesterday, Cody Rhodes was on the McAfee show, and it was very cryptic, but McAfee asked him after the show, is the big one coming back this weekend? And Rhodes looked at him and said, "Which big one?" And McAfee was like, "Oh," and then just walked away. So somebody is making a return this weekend, and that's a good theory about who it is.
See, that's funny, because that's I even have that written down here underneath this match. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline. Already a lot of people upset about the fact that Cody is teaming with Roman Reigns. He also said on McAfee that this will have repercussions for Saudi and for WrestleMania, that it's going to lead into all that, which is a little too much foreshadowing I think, but
it's a little far out.
It's
a little far out. You got so much between here and there.
Yeah, but we know how things are, and things can change because they have just this past year. But so this is good. This could be interesting. So I'm going to go with the Bloodline winning.
I'm not. I'm going to go with Cody and Roman winning. But I don't know what it's going to be yet. There's an Uso twist in here somewhere. You got to keep them involved for right now. There's an Uso twist. Is it Jay helping Roman and Cody, or is it Jimmy making his return and helping out the Bloodline, or the brothers both pitching in for one side or the other? I think there's an Uso twist coming here, but I will go with Cody and Roman win.
What if Roman suddenly turns on Cody and they all beat Cody up?
I think he does, but I think it's after he wins.
Okay.
Because they had that whole thing. I haven't seen the segment yet, but I saw enough of the clip on social with them. Apparently, they were on a football field somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was Georgia Tech. I believe. Yeah. It was well done.
It was well done.
It was directed by Paul Heyman.
It was good. Yeah. It was the whole, you have my word, I'll keep my promise, whatever. And I believe that's true. I just think the minute that belt hits, Roman goes bananas on Cody, but he will have fulfilled his end of the bargain at that point. So I'm intrigued. I do think, I know a lot of people are kind of tired of the Bloodline, but I think there's enough of a shakeup in this story that they can keep it vibing. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Cody's up just like I predicted he would be.
What's The Rock doing these
Cody
days?
Still out there as a wild card, right?
Yeah.
Which could be the big one he was talking about. Cody is, without all of this, a boring ass champion. He just is. There's nothing when the chippy underdog ain't the chippy underdog, there's no more layers to that onion. It's boring. He needs a lot of moving pieces around his title run, and this is a good way to keep that going.
All right, and finally, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in Hell in a Cell.
They got Punk out in front of everything right now, so it's hard to pick against him. I'm not going to. I'm going to go Punk. As much as I love Drew McIntyre, I'm going to go Punk.
I'm going Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
He's suffered way too many losses lately. I think it's time for him to get one.
That's fair. All right, that's it for Fight Club. with the great Malonzo. When we come back here in just a moment, we clean up all the rest of the stories we haven't gotten to yet. We ask what the X is going on, and then we get the hell up out of here on the Thursday edition of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Can't believe you told everybody what I said about wanting my picture on the other side.
Steven, you're a bad person.
There's only 3 windows over there, so it's going to be Tara, Charlie, and Bill. Yeah, it won't be, even though it is technically the longest running show over there. But it's just a weekend show. It's just a little bitty place. What can I say? Tara's pretty small. I mean, you could just put her next to somebody else in a window and then give me a spot over there. Just saying. I wonder, I haven't been on the other side of the building. Do they have pictures on their side of the building?
Over there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I literally never.
Yeah, me either. I've never. Now I got to walk over there and watch. I got to walk over there and look. Which, if you look, you're watching, I guess. What's the difference between looking and watching?
Looking, I think, is something that you can do relatively passively. Watching, you are zoned in on that and only that.
Okay.
Right? If you're looking at the TV, it's just like, oh, it's over there. I'm looking at it.
All right. So when I go outside to view the side of the building, if I just spend a really long time watching myself at what point is looking become
if you
watching?
go out there to see that, you're looking at yourself.
Yeah, but I plan on staying there for quite some time. When does looking become watching?
I think if you pull into the parking lot and you look up and you see the ads, you've looked at it. If you go out there and you're like, I got to go out there and see it and take a picture of it, you're watching. But watching, I think also.
Can you take a video of me watching me? Just cause?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right.
For sure. Which would be me watching you.
Exactly.
And if I was going
to. I haven't seen a color. Well, actually, it's probably the same color as my car, but I haven't seen that kind of car with that color. It's too late now. How much do you think the room has gotten cooler? Because I think it has. Obviously, because our pictures are on the window. Thank you very much. But no, there's a.
So obviously it got cooler.
Yeah, it did. It did. But I think the room got cooler, which is, I wonder how much that will help in the afternoon with those guys.
AmericanEagle.com at 773 Network. That's AmericanEagle.com 773 Network.
This is the story.
We should do that. We absolutely should. Oh, don't think for a second that I'm not going out there when I'm done.
You go have someone that wants to be filmed watching his image being put up on a building.
Oh, it's already up. I mean, if we could have watched it, well, technically we did watch it go up just from the inside. No, I mean, if you go back and were we on video at that time? Yeah, I think we were. You can see the legitimate shock and the instant smiles and all that stuff. It is so cool. It really is. And I was thinner in the picture, so I'm better with that too. Now people will look at me and go, that's not really him, because my hair's up and glasses are on.
Final segment of the Rob Brown Show goes now on a Thursday afternoon. Tomorrow on the radio broadcast. Obviously, football weekend upcoming. We'll give you our picks, predictions, prognostications, projections, and selections for the weekend. That is, did you see Jerry Jones yesterday going with the full Ted Lasso treatment? The Cowboys are out practicing. And JJ just lands his whole ass helicopter right in the middle of the practice field. like a straight out of Major Leagues moment. JJ sets it. Lonzo, when I say on the practice field, I mean
turn it. I can see
in
it.
the middle of the practice field.
I can see it, and I've already seen it, and I don't have a problem with it. Because if you had a helicopter and you owned a team, you would do the exact same thing.
That's no, not when my team is actively practicing.
You got to show who's boss, man.
Bro, land it on top of the Titan Tower that you own.
When our boss lands his helicopter on top of this building, I don't get jealous. I'm just like, that's my boss right there.
When the boss lands a helicopter on top of this building, I wake up from that dream that I'm having. All right. But that being said, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a power move. All right. It's a, you know what it's up there with? It's up there with our guy, Kirk Cignetti, the head coach at Indiana, who said, I win. Google me. In fact, I need to move that. I went and grabbed that clip. I need to move that clip over. My dude said, I win.
Oh, you didn't put
Google
it on
me.
your wow.
Not yet. I forgot to. I made like 3 of them from yesterday's audio because they were that good. The point here is that is the powerest move that I have seen in a very long time. Like that's unbelievable to me.
So if another owner does that, do you have a problem with it? Or is it just because it's Jerry Jones?
No, I mean, it is the Jerry Jonesiest thing I've ever seen. For sure.
All right. If Tepper does it, of course you're going to have a problem with it. But if you're owner.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
If Arthur Blank shows up.
Yes.
No,
for the record.
Arthur Blank is considered like one of the coolest guys. I mean, he wears sweet looking coats and stuff.
Listen.
And Arthur Blank is always on the sidelines, but people don't really say a whole lot about that.
Remember a couple of days ago when we were talking about Dikembe Mutombo and the Who Wants to Sex Mutombo thing and how like certain guys, but a very small number of them can get away from that? There is
You're going for it again today, right?
You
said you were 2 days. No, you said you were going to
I said you got to give me a couple of days.
Okay, all right.
There is no world, none at all, anywhere. There is no one out there that can land their helicopter in the middle of the workplace of other people and not kind of catch that's a D-bag move response. It's just not. Drew Brees could land his helicopter in the middle of this studio during the day, and I'd be like, Drew, that's kind of come on, dude. Come on.
No, you'd be like, can I take a ride in the helicopter? You know you would. So you could say
helicopters are awesome.
So you could say you took a ride with Drew Brees in a helicopter.
Helicopters are awesome. I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying, like, where someone else is actively working. Come on, man. Delta Bravo move from JJ.
Yep, I don't have a problem with it. I don't.
That is unsurprising.
Now,
to
ask me if I would have had a problem with it like 20 minutes ago before my picture got up on the side of the building. Maybe I would have had a different view. Everything has changed now.
I got nothing, man. I got nothing.
I really am going to go in the office and cry later.
No, not today.
I don't understand why it's such a big deal that Jerry Jones took a vehicle to practice.
It's a D-bag move. It just is, dude. It's a D-bag move. To land your private helicopter on a field where your team is trying to get better and go win games. You're like, not only am I richer than and always will be, literally everyone who will ever see this happen, including the multimillionaire athletes out here playing, but I am actively going to disrupt your lives in order to make sure you know that I'm richer than you and always will be. It's a D-bag move.
Yeah, I finally got what that awkward silence was for.
There it is. I wasn't going to say it.
Dude, the window thing is killing me. I mean,
you can't even see it anymore. You got to go outside to see it.
Yeah,
now.
But I know it's so cool. All right, the first thing it's Xing is Gene Wilder.
It would have been Gene Wilder's birthday today.
No, here's why it's Xing.
Oh, okay.
Someone threw up a picture of him when he's younger and said, if you know who this is, you're my friend. Now everyone's just sharing the picture.
I mean, everyone who knows Gene Wilder, I hope.
No. If you know who this is, if you know who this actor is, then I want you. Then you're my friend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do look good on the building, Roy. Thank you.
We do.
We do look good on the building.
Roy.
I agree.
All right. So I maybe I did give credit, to somebody else, which I thought maybe I did. All right. The next thing, we got extra time.
We got a minute.
That's why I was doing that. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Black Ops 6.
Black Ops 6. I will say this. Black Ops does not get enough credit as a franchise for the story game being as good as the story game has been over the years, because everybody dials in on the online multiplayer. And that's fine, because it's a great, it used to be a great online multiplayer game. They basically Fortnited it too hard. They got all the goofy Fortnite crap in there, and it kind of took away from what it used to be, which was a good tactical military game. But the story mode has been phenomenal, to the point that I will buy Black Ops for the offline individual.
You don't have to buy it because, it's still a couple weeks away, but it is going to be on Xbox. I mean, on Game Pass. So you're good. All right. The next thing is Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter celebrated his. I say celebrated. Jimmy Carter.
Well, I'm sure he celebrated. I mean, they took him out in his wheelchair and wheeled him around.
Jimmy didn't look great. But he's also 100.
He's 100, dude. Yeah. What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything. There is
Should we do cartwheels or
there
something?
is a 0% chance I am making it to 100. It's just not happening.
Not
but
with
they
that attitude. Yeah.
No, not with these genetics. There ain't nothing to do with my attitude.
You got a full-on gun display going today. What are you talking about? Genetics.
These guns. Yeah. The Brown Cronin genetics aren't exactly the men in my family don't see triple figures. Okay. The women do, the men do not.
And finally, shout out to the powers that be who did the window thing. Cause I really am, man, that's probably one of the coolest things outside of my children and my wife that has ever happened to me.
No, it's like the coolest thing, including your children. Well, not your wife. Your wife's awesome.
All right. So, some other people have said on the stream, now they can't get rid of you. Yeah, we're both done.
We are done with the show, at least. That's it for us today.
We going outside and look at the picture.
Y'all have a spectacular rest of your day. Thank you for being here. Come back tomorrow when we run you through the college football and NFL weekend upcoming. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Have a great rest of your day. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
I legitimately forgot. It's like, why is he being quiet all of a sudden? It's like, oh, that was 2 minutes ago. What am I doing? It's the equivalent of giving me a compliment, and I don't do well with compliments, and plus lack of sleep. So your brain's a little bit like, oh.
I'm not gonna lie. I am sluggish moving right now.
I feel better today than I did yesterday, but I'll lose it here in about 20 minutes in the office when the adrenaline runs off from doing this. People may not realize, at least for me, and I think for Rob to a degree, you have to find a lot of energy for this, even though I'm still low key, it's still energy. And then when you're done, it's like being on stage for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It wears off after a while.
It's a job I love. It is something, all of the gas and enthusiasm when we're on the air, it's all legit. It's all real. I really am. I like doing the show. I like my job. It's all genuine. But much like working out, if you're one of those people like you really like working out, and you feel great while you're doing it, after it's over, you're gonna have a crash. Like usually for about 10, 20, 30 minutes after the show, I gotta go decompress. And then usually about 2 p.m, I am out of gas.
Shane, I'm sure Rob still loves you and appreciates all of you.
I do.
Were you checking on screen to make sure you were doing it right?
I can see it.
Dude, if I had a robe, I would rock that thing all the time. I have a Kansas City robe, but it's not the same thing. Yeah, I want power too, Steven. I agree with you. I was just told they have it around the corner from us. So maybe tomorrow. I'm not believing it till I see it, though. Or feel it.
All right, that's it for us. I got to go. I got stuff to do.
He's got to go outside.
No, I already went outside. I already saw it.
Yeah, but the bucket's
it's gone
gone.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
I also just want to go. There's been a small slice of lemon pound cake sitting on my desk since like 9 o'clock.
Oh, that's what you really went downstairs to do.
No, I went down there, but then while I was down there, I'm like, let's see if there's breakfast. Turns out there was.
Well, they said breakfast, so I'm looking forward to lunch right now. So.
Hey, speaking of Chris Miller, he'll be with us tomorrow at 8:40.
Cool.
All right, goodbye.
We can ask him if he's got his picture on the side of his thing. It's like